Chapter 1203. Okay sister, don't worry. We'll take care of father. Yi Liangkai encouraged her. Be strong. Don't be defeated by demons. Yi Yuanqing was naturally at ease. He was about to go to the teleportation site to take a look when he bumped into Shan Yu outside. General Yi, what happened? Why did the Emperor bell ring? I'll tell you later. Go to the teleportation site now. Why are we going there? I was the one who brought him in. Ah. Shan Yu was stunned. You actually brought people into the teleportation site. Do you know what crime that is? You're going to be beheaded, sister. Can you stop messing around? Wouldn't it be better to sit on the throne obediently? It wouldn't do if he insisted on interfering in this matter. When the time comes, Huang Min will definitely make a fuss. Shan Yu's mind was racing. Where should he start investigating? That Huang Min loved to make a fuss. He could even turn black into white. When they arrived at the teleportation site, the royal carriage was parked outside. Shan Yu said in a low voice, I didn't expect this guy to come. He must be using this matter to bring you down. General Yi, you have to be careful. Compared to the throne, Yi Yuanqing wanted to know where the two of them had gone. Yi Yuanqing and Shan Yu hurriedly walked into the teleportation site. As soon as they entered, they saw Huang Min, who was dressed in the clothes of a prince. He was tall and handsome, and he had the demeanor of an emperor. Actually, Yi Yuanqing and Shan Yu didn't have much of an impression of Huang Min. This was because most of the time Huang Min wasn't in the palace. He traveled around the god's realm and learned a lot. However, ever since he returned, the people of the royal family started to unite. They even supported Huang Min to ascend to the throne. This was unexpected. General Yi, you're here. Huang Min turned around and looked at Yi Yuanqing, revealing a gentle smile. He even cupped his hands and bowed to a junior. This attitude was even more unfathomable. Your Highness the Fifth Prince. Of course, Yi Yuanqing had to address him respectfully. After all, they hadn't fallen out yet. Huang Min nodded. The two of them seemed to be very good friends. Shan Yu stood at the side and didn't say anything. General Yi, I heard that you brought two people in and injured the guards. Is this true? Huang Min asked in a low voice. His tone was calm, as if he didn't blame him. Yes. Why? Save their lives, Yi Yuanqing said solemnly. Huang Min didn't say anything. He had also heard about what happened last night. The other party only had 2 people, even though it was just 2 people. However, many supremacies had died. They could not stop their attacks at all. The most important problem was that no one from the royal family was present at that time. This was negative news for the royal family. The fact that no one dared to go to the royal family was something that most people couldn't accept. Why didn't anyone from the royal family go? They were all so scared that they didn't dare to go. If they were to go to the royal palace, it would mean that they would be annihilated. Who would dare to go and die? In fact, there were even people from the royal family who were prepared to run away. It was fortunate that no one saw such a scandal, or else the royal family would lose all face. Huang Min didn't say anything for the time being. He hadn't thought things through yet. At this moment, a man walked over and shouted respectfully, Fifth Prince, General Yi. The dimension they went to was not recorded. After hearing that, Yi Yuanqing's eyebrows wrinkled. Planes that are not recorded? This was probably not as simple as it looked. I'll go and take a look, Yi Yuanqing said solemnly. Hearing that, Huang Min was delighted. Planes that were not recorded normally wouldn't be able to come back after going to them. The prince would rather you go and not come back. General Yi. Shan Yu hurriedly shouted out. What is this woman going to do? Aren't we fighting over the throne right now? If you were to go, wouldn't you be handing over the throne with both hands? Huang Min scolded Shan Yu in his heart. Shan Yu, you idiot, what did I ask you to say? Shan Yu brought Yi Yuanqing to one side and said softly, General Yi, you are fighting over the throne right now. If you were to leave just like this, the throne would definitely be gone. Think thrice. After hearing that, Yi Yuanqing came to a realization. If I were to leave right now, I indeed wouldn't even be able to get the throne. General Yi, to put it bluntly, even if you manage to catch up to them, there is nothing you can do. Therefore, General Yi, you still have to look at the big picture. Yi Yuanqing took in a deep breath. That's right, even if I manage to catch up to them, what can I do? There is nothing I can do. Yi Yuanqing was very disappointed. Those 2 ran away from me, so I have to catch them myself. However, there is nothing I can do right now. Yi Yuanqing nodded his head. What you said is right. Shan Yu let out a breath of relief. This crazy woman didn't lose her rationality. This is truly fortunate. Seeing that Yi Yuanqing didn't have any reaction, Huang Min, who was at the side, deeply wrinkled his brows. If this Shan Yu wasn't here, adding on my instigation, I would definitely have gotten hot-headed and chased after those two, and then I would have died. At this moment, Shan Junren hurriedly rushed over and shouted out respectfully, "General Yi, Fifth Prince." From the way he addressed Yi Yuanqing, it could be seen that Yi Yuanqing was the one who came first. Prime Minister Shan. With a smile on his face, Huang Min cupped his hands. "This rotten old man, when the time comes, I will kill you and your father. Those who stand against me, I will kill all of them. Not a single one will be spared." "What exactly is going on?" Shan Junren asked confusedly. Yi Yuanqing told everyone about what happened at the entrance of the city, and after everyone heard it, they were all extremely shocked. Such terrifying two actually appeared, where did they come from? And then, they made such a huge commotion just to teleport out of the city. Furthermore, it is a plane that is not recorded in the records. Shan Junren was a bit unable to understand, could it be that there is a treasure in that plane? "Everyone go back and rest, we will discuss this during the morning court session tomorrow." Huang Min was just like an emperor, giving out orders. This made the people from Yi family's faction very unhappy. "You are not the emperor yet, and you are already putting on the airs of an emperor, you are truly shameless." Although Huang Min isn't the emperor, he is still a member of the royal family, and everyone didn't dare to say anything. After all, we don't know what the royal family's foundation is, and it is still very troublesome to deal with them. "Let's go," Yi Yuanqing said lightly, then took the lead to leave the scene and go back to take a look at his father. Shan Yu didn't follow Yi Yuanqing, he came to his father's side and said in a low voice, "Father, what happened tonight should be beneficial to us." "Not necessarily, this teleportation site has to be protected with one's life." Although General Yi is taking everyone's life into consideration, in the end he still brought the two of them in. If Huang Min holds on to this point and doesn't let go, we will also be in a very passive position. Shan Junren said in a low voice, his expression became slightly solemn. He looked at Huang Min, who was currently communicating with the others, and it was possible that he was also giving suggestions. Shan Yu said in a low voice, "In any case, General Yi saved the lives of the other supreme beings, those supreme beings won't just sit and watch, right?" End of this chapter. Chapter 1204. Shan Yu, those people aren't easy to talk to. They won't just let this matter slide. After all, they are people who protect the royal family. Even if General Yi saved their lives, they won't stand on General Ye's side. The best outcome now is to remain neutral. That would be giving him a lot of face, Shan Junren said in a low voice. He knew these supreme martial artists very well. They definitely wouldn't do anything that didn't benefit them. Shan Yu fell silent after hearing this. It seemed like there would be a tough battle tomorrow. Suddenly, Shan Yu saw Huang Min walking towards him. The father and son were a little surprised. "Prime Minister Shan. Fifth Prince. Can I have a word with you?" Huang Min smiled. Shan Junren smiled and nodded. The two of them walked to the side. At this moment, Huang Min went straight to the point. "Prime Minister Shan, when my father was still alive, he said that you are an old and trustworthy subject. I don't deserve the trust of the emperor." Shan Junren's words were very formal. He was obviously a wily old fox. Huang Min didn't mind. He smiled and said, "Prime Minister Shan, I'll be straightforward. I hope that you can assist me like how you assisted my father. I will definitely let bygones be bygones. Fifth Prince, I will naturally assist the new emperor without hesitation." Huang Min was stunned for a moment. He revealed a deathly smile, then patted Shan Junren's shoulder and left. Shan Junren knew that this was the last chance that Huang Min was giving him. However, people who did great things. One had to be brave enough to take risks. If he sided with Huang Min today, it would still be the same in the future. What Huang Min said just now could even be said to be an insult. It was as if he was saying, "Old man, you're done for. Kneel down and lick my boots now and you still have a chance to live. Otherwise, I'll make sure your entire family dies." Shan Junren had been through a lot, so how could he be scared so easily? In Shan Junren's heart, his backer was Lord Yi. That was the real decision maker. After returning home, Yi Yuanqing went to see his father again. He saw Yi Shan lying on the bed. His chest was wrapped in white gauze. Supreme martial artists were so strong. Even if their chests were pierced, they could still survive. Looking at his father's aged face, Yi Yuanqing furrowed his brows. He would remember this grudge. "Just go and rest. We still have a tough battle to fight tomorrow." "Rest well," Yi Qin said softly. He had a tired expression on his face. Right now, father who had lost his strength had become an ordinary person. Without the support of strength, father's aging was currently accelerating. In the future, father will be an ordinary person. With his cyclone destroyed, father will no longer be able to gather chi, and father will become an ordinary person in the future. Even if they had all kinds of spiritual medicines to protect them, they would only be able to prolong their lifespans. They would not be like Supremes who had an infinitely long lifespan. Even if he had all kinds of medicine, it would only prolong his life. Yi Chen's face tightened as he said softly, "Elder sister, if you really can't do it, just call Big Brother back. This is Big Brother's test for me. The outcome hasn't been decided yet. If I hand Big Brother over, wouldn't I be letting him down?" It wasn't that Yi Yuanqing didn't think of calling out, but he stopped every time. If he really did call out, it would be a situation that he couldn't solve. Yi Chen didn't say anything. Since young, sister had wanted to surpass Big Brother. She saw Big Brother as her idol. She naturally didn't want Big Brother to be disappointed. "All right, sister. You should go and rest. It's getting late. The sun will rise in a few hours." Yi Yuanqing let out a breath. "Take care of father. Sister, it's up to you now." Right now, the lives of the whole family were on Yi Yuanqing's shoulders. He felt that it was very heavy. However, Yi Yuanqing thought to himself, "This is probably the experience that Big Brother gave me." The morning of Lingdu was always bright and beautiful. But today the atmosphere was a bit heavy. Perhaps it was because of what happened last night and today's ruling. It made everyone feel gloomy. Although it was still early for morning court, the residents were already in a parade mode. Of course, one side supported Yi Yuanqing, and the other side supported Huang Min after receiving benefits. The two voices almost shook the entire Lingdu. From this, it could be seen how much importance everyone attached to this election. In Yi family, everyone came to send Yi Yuanqing off to the morning court. Yi Yuanqing was still wearing a velvet armor. After all, she was still a general. She was the woman who was appointed as the great general by Huang Feidi, the leader of all the generals. "Big sister, you can do it," Yi Zhe shouted. Yi Yuanqing waved his hand towards his brothers and revealed a smile on his face. However, after he returned to the carriage, the smile on his face disappeared. "General Yi, we support you. General Yi, you can do it. Big sister Yi, you can do it. I want to be a girl like Big sister Yi in the future as well." Listening to the cheering voices on the streets, Yi Yuanqing felt as if he had been injected with new strength, filling him with fighting spirit. "Today if they don't die, then I will lose. After that, I will lower my head and look for Big Brother. That would be so embarrassing." Along the way, the residents on both sides were very passionate. These were all his supporters, and this also filled Yi Yuanqing with strength. After arriving at the entrance of the palace, Yi Yuanqing was still shocked by this scene. There was a sea of people, and everyone was holding up signboards and cheering for the person they liked. However, Yi Yuanqing still heard voices slandering him. They were very vicious, but Yi Yuanqing knew that these were all people hired by Huang Min. Yi Yuanqing chose to block them off and got off the carriage outside the palace. "General Yi, all of you rise." Yi Yuanqing was now a little like a queen. Every action of hers had a different kind of pressure. "Thank you, General Yi." Yi Yuanqing slowly walked into the palace. Not long later he met Shan Junren and Chen Yi. "General Yi, you are here." "Greetings, Prime Minister Shan, Lord Chen." Yi Yuanqing scoffed politely. "You are treating me like an outsider, you are treating me like an outsider. We are family." Shan Junren revealed a weird smile as if he was saying that his son was going to marry you and be your male pet. You should take care of him in the future. However, Yi Yuanqing didn't think so much. "General Yi, you don't need to say anything today and you don't need to do anything. Just leave everything to us." Prime Minister Shan said respectfully. "Okay." Yi Yuanqing said softly. "Shan, you came late." He looked at Yi Yuanqing and his expression wasn't good. He thought to himself that it should be because of his father. This was unavoidable. Life still had to go on. Everyone walked into the hall. The throne had been empty for a few days and no one had sat on it. However, today they would know who would be able to sit on that supreme position. The entire God's Realm Emperor. This gimmick was attractive enough. How could the people of the royal family give it up? It was a pity that all the outstanding ones had died. The remaining ones were all fake and inferior products. If not for Huang Min knowing how to use people's hearts, he would probably have died. End of this chapter. Chapter 1205. Yi Yuanqing stood at the very front of the military officers, while Shan Junren stood at the very front of the civil officers. At the side stood a few princes, and they were all led by Huang Min, who came to cheer for Yi Yuanqing. The eunuch stood in front of the throne and shouted weakly, "Today is the last day of the ruling, the new emperor will be chosen to lead us." Is there even a need to say it? It will definitely be the fifth prince, Huang Min. Before the eunuch finished speaking, one of them started shouting. That's right, the fifth prince is part of the royal family, it is only right for him to inherit the throne. The fifth prince was also doted on by the late emperor back then. If the late emperor knew about this, he would definitely pass the throne to the fifth prince. That's right, it is only right for the fifth prince to inherit the throne. When did an outsider become the emperor, and a woman at that? Huang Min didn't say anything and listened quietly, appearing very calm. However, the palace immediately became like a market. All of them were targeting Yi Yuanqing, and it was even more intense than the previous few times. Everyone, please quiet down. If the late emperor was still here, he wouldn't want to hear such a ruckus. The eunuch shouted. Everyone seemed to give this eunuch some face, and the voices gradually died down. At this moment, Shan Yu stood out and said, "Every generation of emperors must have the strength of a supreme being, must have military merits, and must have a noble character. To dare to be the fifth prince, how many of these three do you need?" Shan Yu's words had never been spoken in the past few times. Some important questions had to be used in important occasions, such as now. After all, this was the last time and he had to bring out his trump card. Following Shan Yu's words, everyone seemed to be speechless, because what Shan Yu said was right. If not, why would Huang Yun and Huang Li go to get military merits? It was all for the sake of preparing for the throne. If not, when the time comes, someone would find an excuse to say that without military merits, one doesn't have the right to inherit the throne. Therefore, among the three, military merits were actually the most important. The first was very hard to obtain. The second, there was no war. I need to wait, Shan Yu continued. General Yi, you have long reached the strength of a supreme being. Not long ago you even made great contributions. Last night, you were bestowed the title of Great General by the late emperor. For the safety of all the people in the city, he led the intruder alone and avoided a disaster. Isn't that virtuous? What we need is a real emperor, not someone who only knows how to talk. Shan Yu was getting more and more excited as he spoke. At the end he even mocked him and became a little smug. Hearing his son's words, Shan Junren smiled bitterly in his heart. But this was fine too. Since he had already offended him, it was the same to offend him again. At this time, Huang Min said softly, "Lord Shan, speaking of what happened last night, General Yi still has to take full responsibility." Yi Yuanqing turned to look at Huang Min and asked, "Fifth Prince, what responsibility do I have to bear?" "General Yi, you know of the rules of the teleportation formation." Yi said. "General, I said you know the rules of the formation." He had violated the ancestors' great taboo. What right does he have to sit on the throne? Everyone found that Huang Min was also very eloquent. She immediately caught General Ye's Achilles' heel, making her unable to fight back. Regarding what happened last night, the father and son discussed for a long time. They felt that it was very troublesome, and they were unable to prove their innocence. Shan Junren said softly, "Fifth Prince, last night all of the supreme beings were present. The other party's strength is not something we can compare with. If General Yi did not agree, then all the sovereigns would die, including the entire spirit capital. If not for General Ye's intelligence. We wouldn't be standing here right now. Also, one of the two people knew how to activate the teleportation formation. This also means that they can leave without us. Without us they can leave. General Ye's choice is the best. If we are stubborn, we will only ruin the spirit capital. What we need is an emperor with brains and responsibility." Shan Junren's words had already cleared Yi Yuanqing's name to a large extent. Shan Junren turned his head and looked at Huang Min, then asked faintly, "Fifth Prince, may I ask, after such a big thing happened last night, why is it that not a single member of the royal family is seen? I even heard that all of them are preparing to pack up and leave?" Shan Yu really admired his father. Is this the legendary triple kill? The royal family's faction was completely speechless. Hearing that, Huang Min remained calm and turned his head to look at Shan Junren. "Prime Minister, why are you supporting an outsider? If father knew about this, I'm afraid that he would not forgive you." "Fifth Prince, I support a wise emperor. This has nothing to do with my family name. If the late emperor was still alive, he would definitely be happy with my choice." Hearing his father's words, Shan Yu almost laughed out. If the late emperor knew about this, he would definitely be so angry that he would jump out of his coffin. The royal family had declined in this generation, mainly because Yi Hua got rid of Huang Li and Huang Yun. If one of them was still alive, then Yi Yuanqing would have nothing to do with it. Yi Hua seemed to have already planned to clear the path for his sister. At this moment Yi Hua wanted to say, "You guessed it right, seems like I didn't hide it well enough." Huang Min's expression still did not change. This caused Shan Junren, who was at the side, to feel very puzzled. Could it be that he still has some trump card? Seeing that his father did not speak, Shan Yu stood out and said, "General Yi is both brave and intelligent. He has the ability to sit on the throne, to lead the entire God's realm." Right at this moment, Yi family's faction started adding fuel to the fire. On the other hand, the royal family's faction that was extremely explosive at the start was now completely silent. Each and every one of them was flushed red. There was completely no point to refute, because Huang Min really, other than the title of the royal family, he really did not have anything. He did not even have the three most basic requirements. Right at this moment, Huang Min asked faintly, "Prime Minister Shan, what you mean is that the royal family cannot inherit the throne right now?" Shan Junren wrinkled his brows and said lightly, "If there is someone in the royal family who fulfills the three requirements, I will naturally support that person. But for the eldest prince and the ninth prince, sigh. Seems like Prime Minister Shan has forgotten a principle." Huang Min said faintly. Shan Junren went into a daze, then asked curiously, "Fifth prince, please enlighten me. Do you know what is the royal family's inheritance?" Huang Min asked faintly. Shan Junren immediately had a bad premonition. The royal family's inheritance. The previous emperors were all chosen by the royal family, but in the past the emperors had always been chosen, only this time was an accident. But in the end, those people were all the royal family's own people, there had never been outsiders. Those three requirements were also slowly evolved, and in the end they became a custom. However, it seems like the royal family has the final say on those three requirements. I am just taking advantage of a loophole. However, now that things have come to this, I can't just casually lower my head. The royal family's inheritance is also something that only those who are capable can inherit," Shan Junren said gravely. Hearing that, Huang Min laughed lightly. "This is a type of ridicule, laughing at you for not knowing anything." End of this chapter. Chapter 1206. Since it's the royal family's inheritance, it's only natural for the royal family to produce their descendants. These words were not spoken by Huang Min, but came from outside. Two men slowly walked in. When the crowd saw the appearance of the two men, their pupils shrank. Especially Shan Junren, one of them had seen him before, and the other had seen him in a portrait. This old subject kowtows in salute to the Supreme Emperor. Retired Emperor. Shan Junren had lived through two dynasties, and of course he had seen Huang Feidi's father. However, in the end Huang Feidi's father disappeared, and no one knew where Huang Feidi's father went to. To be more precise, as long as the emperor abdicated, he would eventually disappear. But now there were actually two of them. Huang Feidi's father and grandfather. This gave Shan Junren a fright. No wonder Huang Min looked so confident. It turned out that he had found them to back him up. Things had become difficult. Shan Yu was also shocked. Ever since he was born, the emperor had always been Huang Feidi. He had never seen these two before. But as his father shouted, Shan Yu's gaze became flustered. To be precise, the entire Yi family was in a panic. The royal family, who had been dispirited just a moment ago, looked as if they had seen their savior. They wanted to crawl over and lick his shoes to express their excitement. This subject kowtows in salute to the Supreme Emperor. Retired Emperor. Everyone knelt on the ground and shouted. Yi Yuanqing was no longer calm. He had not expected something like this to happen. It was no wonder that Huang Min could instantly unify the members. It turned out that they were supporting him from behind. This made sense. Shan Junren, we haven't seen each other for 10,000 years. I didn't expect that you would help Huang Feidi to ascend to the throne, and now you are helping someone other than the royal family to ascend to the throne. Your courage is commendable. Retired Emperor Donghuang said in a deep voice. The Supreme Emperor Donghuang Mausoleum didn't say anything and looked coldly at Yi Yuanqing. This woman also wants to be the emperor. Do you think there's no one in the East royal family? Shan Junren hurriedly explained. Retired Emperor, His Majesty suddenly passed away. This old subject is just following the usual rules. Rules? Shan Junren. You still haven't figured it out. The royal family is the rule. Hearing this, Shan Junren's face turned pale. If these words came out of Huang Min's mouth, they wouldn't have such an imposing aura. However, when it came from the retired emperor's mouth, it carried a terrifying murderous aura. At this moment, Shan Yu's face also became pale. I'm finished? I'm finished today. If those two people didn't come, the throne would definitely be Yi Yuanqing's. But since those two people came, then the throne. Not only that. I still have to give up my life. This is the price I have to pay. If it's not death, then it's glory, splendor, wealth and rank. The greater the risk, the greater the reward. However, this was clearly the worst-case scenario. Father, please sit. Dong Huangyu respectfully called out. The Dong Huang mausoleum slowly walked up the steps and sat on the throne. No one dared to say a word. Dong Huangyu was standing right beside him. When this seat was occupied, no one dared to act rashly. Yi Yuanqing didn't know what to say. One was the retired emperor, and the other was the supreme emperor. They were all previous emperors. Weren't they the ones who had the final say in the selection of the emperor? Dong Huang Mausoleum touched the dragon throne and murmured, "It's still the same feeling. It hasn't changed at all." No one dared to breathe loudly. I heard that my grandson died in front of the stage. Is this the right position? Dong Huang Mausoleum pointed to a corner and asked faintly. The eunuch at the side had a happy expression on his face. He finally saw the retired emperor again, and he looked exactly the same as before. Supreme Emperor, His Majesty died here without any aura. He was brutally murdered. The eunuch said while choking with sobs. From time to time he would wipe his tears with his sleeves. Dong Huang Mausoleum's face gradually became gloomy, and he said in a deep voice, "In this hall, an emperor had actually been murdered. But you don't know. His head was cut off so cruelly." "Oh, who is it?" Huang Min took a step forward and said respectfully, "Supreme Emperor, the biggest suspect now is the Yi family. Because the Yi family wanted to usurp the throne. If their father didn't die, what reason did they have? Big brother and ninth brother also died in the conspiracy, and soon after, Father Emperor also died. They just used 3 conditions to choose the emperor. Are they bullying our imperial family because there is no one capable?" Yi Yuanqing stood there without saying anything because the emperor had indeed been killed by his eldest brother. Yi Yuanqing did not seem to intend to deny what he had done. Sure. The spiritual capital doesn't seem to be afraid of the imperial family anymore. We can kill anyone from the royal family if we want to. If he wanted to usurp the throne, he would usurp it. How dare they? When the Supreme Emperor displayed his might, it was rather ferocious. A terrifying aura immediately swept through the area. Everyone was completely unable to resist and was pressed onto the ground. Even Yi Yuanqing was no exception. However, Yi Yuanqing sensed that the Supreme Emperor's strength was above Supreme Being. "I'm afraid that the Supreme Emperor is the same as well? Shan Junren, do you know your crime?" The Supreme Emperor Dong Huangyu asked coldly. Shan Junren hurriedly kowtowed. "Right now, there is no way to save the situation unless Prince Yi comes over. However, will Prince Yi come over?" Even Yi Yuanqing didn't know the answer to this question. It was very difficult to send sound transmissions between different planes, and furthermore, a barrier had already been set up here. From the looks of it, these two people are going to join in the rebellion, and they are going to stun the people who are going to rebel against the imperial family. "Supreme Emperor, this old subject knows his crime," Shan Junren said gravely. "Drag him out and behead him." Dong Huangyu gave the order without any hesitation. As an emperor, one must have a heart that is decisive in killing. Shan Junren knew that he was definitely going to die. "Supreme Emperor, please spare my life. I am willing to take the punishment on behalf of my father." Shan Yu immediately knelt onto the ground and begged. The imperial family revealed an expression that was rejoicing in Shan Yu's misfortune. "Weren't you very formidable just now?" "Formidable? Why aren't you continuing to be formidable anymore?" "Bastard! Go back!" Shan Junren shouted out coldly. "Father is already old and you still have many important things to do. Drag them out and behead them." Dong Huangyu shouted out coldly. To actually dare rebel against the imperial family, they are truly tired of living. "Wait!" Yi Yuanqing suddenly shouted out. The 2 big shots looked towards Yi Yuanqing, seemingly saying, "I will deal with you later, don't be anxious." Dong Huangling said lightly, "Shan family's crime of usurping the throne, all of them shall be exterminated." Hearing what Dong Huangling said, everyone present sucked in a breath of cold air. Shan family has a lot of branch families, and right now, with just a single sentence from Shan family, all of them will have to die together with Shan family. "I was the one who instigated it," Yi Yuanqing said lightly. Dong Huangling could be seen slapping the air. "Pah!" This slap ruthlessly landed onto Yi Yuanqing's face, and Yi Yuanqing fell onto the ground. A great general was slapped onto the ground just like that, and no one dared to say anything. Blood was already flowing out from the corner of Yi Yuanqing's mouth. If Yi Shan was here, he would definitely stop his daughter from making a mistake again. Why is her personality exactly the same as your big brother? Pa. Another slap ruthlessly landed onto Yi Yuanqing's face, and Yi Yuanqing's body was sent flying, and Yi Yuanqing fiercely crashed onto the dragon pillar at the side. The entire palace hall shook slightly. Yi Yuanqing slowly landed onto the ground, and there were 2 huge handprints on his face, and all of his pores were smashed into pieces. This is too terrifying. End of this chapter. Chapter 1207. Yi Yuanqing looked as if he had already broken through. Yi Yuanqing slowly landed on the ground, unable to move. These 2 were supreme beings. He wasn't their match at all. They were just too powerful, just like how he met those 2 from yesterday. Donghuang Mausoleum said faintly, "The mastermind of the Yi family, hang all of them at the city gate as a warning to others." Yes. Everyone related to the Yi family. Hang them all. To uphold the prestige of the emperor. The East Emperor Mausoleum exuded a murderous aura. After not returning for so many years, such a thing actually happened. If they didn't know about it, they wouldn't even know that the gods' world had changed their surnames. Supreme Emperor, we are innocent, please spare our lives. Supreme Emperor. Retired Emperor, run for your life. We are all innocent. Huang Min looked at Shan Junren, who was kneeling at the side, and said in a low voice, "Prime Minister, I gave you a chance yesterday, but what a pity. Did you think that Lord Yi would appear? You are thinking too much." Right now, Shan Junren didn't have any confidence anymore, and he looked towards Yi Yuanqing, who had fallen under the dragon pillar. "Hurry up and call your big brother over, or we'll all die." Both of them were superior supremes. Yi Yuanqing now knew that it was not so easy to sit on the throne. He thought that if he was benevolent to others, they would all approve of him. But he was wrong. To be kind to some people was to be cruel to himself. Since Big Brother had paved the way for him, he would definitely not let Big Brother down. The throne was theirs. Yi Yuanqing stood up slowly. She seemed to be on the verge of collapsing, but she gritted her teeth and persevered. "You can still stand up?" Dong Huangyu was surprised. An ordinary supreme martial artist wouldn't even be able to stand after being slapped like that, let alone a woman. However, this woman actually stood up, which was indeed amazing. Yi Yuanqing leaned against the dragon pillar, blood flowing from the corner of his mouth. He turned his head to look at the 2 people on the stairs. "Originally, I wanted to be harmonious, but I don't want to pretend anymore. I am just a woman who kills enemies." Yi Yuanqing laughed as if she had gone mad. Everyone had the same feeling. Yi family's second son has gone crazy. This might not be madness, but he was laughing at his own childishness. On Yi Yuanqing's right hand, a small bell condensed out. "Big Brother said that when I have difficulties, ring the bell, there will be a surprise. I don't know what kind of surprise Big Brother has prepared for me. Don't tease your little sister, or else Big Brother won't be able to see your little sister." When the Donghuang Mausoleum and the Donghuang sect saw Yi Yuanqing take out a copper bell, their gazes froze. A bad premonition appeared. "Take her down," Donghuang Mausoleum shouted. However, ring ring ring, a clear and melodious voice rang out in the main hall, captivating everyone's hearts. Everyone's scalp went numb at this moment. This ringtone was like a ghost, reverberating in everyone's mind. Crick. A crack appeared on the bell on Yi Yuanqing's right hand, and soon after, the bell shattered. "What?" Yi Yuanqing really wanted to cry. "Big Brother? This surprise of yours is too horrifying." Donghuang Mausoleum and Donghuang Yu heaved a sigh of relief. They were frightened just now. Thinking back, he was actually frightened by a woman. It was simply unbearable. This damned woman actually scared him. Unforgivable. "Cut her into 8 pieces for me. I want her blood to flow all over the ground." Donghuang Yu shouted angrily, feeling that his dignity was trampled on by this woman. However, when Donghuang Yu finished shouting, a strange cold wind condensed in the palace. In the god's realm, there was no such cold wind. The 4 seasons of the year were like spring, the wind was gentle and the sun was beautiful. But what did this cold wind mean? Everyone couldn't help but shiver. Suddenly, in front of Yi Yuanqing, the ground seemed to be sinking. However, this was an illusion. This was not sinking. This was a cave that looked like red magma. The middle was like magma, and the sides were like black whirlpools that were spinning. A fierce aura instantly filled the entire palace. A hand suddenly extended out from the magma and grabbed onto the ground. With just a light grab, it caused the entire palace to shake. This was already beyond the interest of ordinary people. The hand suddenly emitted flames and burned. The temperature of the scene rose rapidly. When the human-shaped flame completely appeared, that was why everyone's eyeballs were about to fall out. Who is this flaming man? Yi Yuanqing looked at the flaming man in front of him, completely confused. This is the surprise that Big Brother gave me? Is this a fire stick? Dong Huangyu and Dong Huang Mausoleum could feel the strength of this flaming man, and their gazes became cold. Is that Bella summoning item? Indeed. Azura Purgatory. Wuming greets Master. Wuming knelt down to show his loyalty. When Shan Junren saw this scene, he finally heaved a sigh of relief, while the imperial family became restless. If it was over just like this, that wouldn't be Yi Hua's style. If he said that he gave her a surprise, then it was definitely a surprise. This was the biggest guarantee that Yi Hua gave his sister. Even if he wasn't by her side, he would be able to protect her the entire time. Right at this moment, everyone felt a terrifying pressure coming from above their heads. This pressure made even Dong Huang Mausoleum and Dong Huangyu reveal a look of astonishment. However, in Spirit Capital City, everyone could see that there was a huge whirlpool condensing in the sky above the palace. Thunder and lightning were rumbling inside, and it was deafening. Everyone looked at the strange clouds with shock and fear in their eyes, because this was something that had never happened before. No one knew what was happening inside. However, they could guess that something must have happened inside. The people who were standing outside were even more restless, and they wished that they could rush inside and take a look at what was happening. A streak of silver light descended from the clouds, whistling through the air. However, in the palace's main hall, everyone was being pressured to the point that they couldn't breathe. Only Yi Yuanqing was fine, but he was still able to feel the pressure. Big Brother, this surprise of his is really too awesome. Big Brother is awesome. Give a like to Big Brother. A silver long sword could be seen piercing through the roof and landing at the center of the main hall. Looking at the silver long sword, everyone's expression became grave. The silver long sword seemed to be a two-handed sword, and silver patterns were flickering on the body of the sword. Why is there only one sword? What is the meaning of this? Just as everyone was puzzled, a black figure slowly landed on the ground and directly stepped onto the hilt of the sword. This person had a head full of long black hair, and he wore a black windbreaker that fluttered along with the wind. I am Sword God, young Master Changqing, and I am willing to serve Master. Changqing placed his hand on his chest to show his loyalty. Yi Yuanqing was currently in a stupefied state. This kind of surprise is truly unbearable. Right now, Shan Junren could finally let out a breath of relief. Originally, General Yi still had a trump card, just that he didn't reveal it. This is truly worrying. I nearly thought that I was going to die. End of this chapter. Chapter 1208. However, everyone was waiting. Is there still more? Father, we can't stay here for long. Dong Huangyu said in a low voice. The two people in front of me don't seem to be my match. Dong Huangyu waited for a while, then called out again. Father? There was still no response from his father. Furthermore, everyone below had a face full of shock as if they had seen a ghost. Dong Huangyu couldn't help but turn his head around to take a look. A man who was dressed sloppily could be seen. This sloppiness was indeed a bit sloppily, with a few leaves covering his private parts, and in his hand was a rusty long blade. However, this black iron long blade was stained with blood, and the blood stained with blood was all of his father's blood. Furthermore, his father's head was really in his hand. Furthermore, his father's eyeballs could still move. My name is King Yu, my nickname is God of Slaughter. Master, are you satisfied with this gift? King Yu grinned, revealing his white teeth, which formed a sharp contrast with his skin. However, compared to the head in his hand, that head was nothing. That head was the head of the Supreme Emperor. It was actually grabbed by the Supreme Emperor just like that. Everyone just saw a shadow appear, then cut off the Supreme Emperor's head. The shadow's movements were as smooth as flowing water, and with a single look, one could tell that the shadow was an expert in this field. No, this is simply terrifying. The shadow was able to deal with the Supreme Emperor so easily, and this Supreme Emperor, wouldn't it be even easier to deal with him? Right now, Yi Yuanqing had a blank expression on his face. He was killed just like that? Just now, this Supreme Emperor slapped me twice and he was killed just like that? This is simply letting him off too easily. However, this Supreme Emperor's blood had already stained the throne. This proved that this was indeed a throne that was stained with blood. Right now, Huang Min was also unable to remain calm. The trump card of the Supreme Emperor is even more terrifying than mine. I originally thought that the trump card of the Supreme Emperor would at most be Lord Yi. However, the Supreme Emperor didn't even appear, and then the Supreme Emperor's head exploded. The appearance of the three strange people simply changed the situation instantly. Right now, King Yu was a bit embarrassed. He was holding onto the Supreme Emperor's head, and his crotch was only covered by a few leaves. If a gust of wind were to blow, he would definitely be exposed. Furthermore, this master seems to be dissatisfied with what I did. He still hasn't said anything. Could it be that he is blaming me for taking action on my own? That wouldn't do. After all, it was the first time they met and he didn't bring any gifts. Now he made a mistake again. King Yu looked to the left and to the right, and soon after he pressed the Supreme Emperor's head back into the hole. Soon after, he discovered that it seemed that the head wasn't stable at all. Having no other choice, I can only take out the needle and sew it up. However, the group of people below just watched, completely unable to understand what he was doing. Was he humiliating the corpse? Looking at how coquettishly this person was dressed, who would have thought that he would have such a fetish? It made one's scalp go numb. Yi Yuanqing didn't know what he was doing. Didn't he just cut off someone's head? Now he was sewing it back. What was he trying to express? King Yu heaved a sigh of relief and said respectfully, "Master, I've been too presumptuous and killed people without your permission. Now I'm fine." Everyone's jaws dropped to the ground. Everything was fine now. What do you mean it's fine? You've already reattached your head. Does that mean the others are still alive? You're killing someone, yet you're still trampling on their dignity. It's simply infuriating and makes my scalp go numb. However, Dong Huangyu didn't dare to do anything, because he was being stared at by the two people below him. It seemed that if he were to make a single move, his blood would definitely splatter all over the place. This woman, ringing the bell, had actually summoned such a character. This was simply unimaginable. If not for these three people, himself, I must humiliate her 100 times and torture her for 10,000 years. Death was a luxury for her. But now that was just daydreaming. If he could escape, that would be a luxury. Her father had died just like that. He couldn't believe it. Yi Yuanqing, what are you doing? How dare you kill the emperor? Huang Min roared at Yi Yuanqing furiously as he accused Yi Yuanqing. However, Huang Min was mistaken about one thing. Once a person abandoned pity, they would never give in to him again. Therefore, you have disrespected the master. The wind of death will accompany you. Nameless said slowly. He had already given Huang Min the death penalty. Green smoke could be seen coming out from the bottom of Huang Min's pants, and soon after, the pants immediately caught on fire. At first, Huang Min didn't notice it. He only realized it after someone reminded him, and he immediately slapped him. However, the fire grew bigger and bigger until it burned his entire body. Ah! The raging fire crazily burned Huang Min's soul. This kind of pain was much more comfortable than his physical body. Huang Min fell onto the ground and rolled on the ground. Everyone didn't even dare to breathe loudly. This General Yi seems to have fallen into the path of a demon, causing everyone to tremble in fear. Yi Yuanqing didn't stop Huang Min just now because sometimes only by killing can one intimidate others. Just like what I said before, I originally wanted to coexist peacefully with you all, but if that doesn't work, then forget about it. Huang Min stopped moving and laid on the ground like a corpse. The fire was taken away by Nameless. However, Huang Min didn't turn into charcoal and he still looked the same as before. It was just that his soul had already been destroyed, and he probably wouldn't even have the chance to reincarnate. You are called Yi Yuanqing? Someone from Yi family? Dong Huangyu asked gravely, fighting for the last chance to escape. Yi Yuanqing endured the pain and looked at Dong Huangyu. Now that the situation has come to this, what's the point of you asking me who I am? If you're right, then do you know who I am? You? You are the retired emperor. You all can call me the retired emperor, but I am no longer called Huangyu. I am called Dong Huangyu. My family name is Dong Huang. I am famous in the 9 provinces and 5 seas. Today you have killed someone from my East royal family. We will not let this matter rest. Family name Dong Huang? When everyone heard this, they were all shocked. It turns out that the family name Dong Huang is the family name of the East royal family. They had long gone to other worlds to develop, and now they finally understood why. Then all the more reason why I can't let you leave. Yi Yuanqing said faintly. Dong Huangyu, you didn't even listen to a single word I said just now. I am someone from the East royal family. I am an existence that your Yi family cannot afford to offend. Killing you all is as easy as breathing. If you all don't let me leave, you all might die with an intact corpse. Yi Yuanqing, if you are sensible, then let me leave. Yi Yuanqing smiled, and his smile was very beautiful. If I let you leave, I will let you run 39 meters first. Yi Yuanqing suddenly said. This caused Dong Huangyu to feel happy. As long as I can run out of here, I will be able to go back. At that time all of you will have to die. Die, 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 die. Dong Huangyu, who was on the stage, instantly disappeared. Sword Body Young Master Evergreen knew that his master wanted to see how strong he was. Thus, Sword Body Young Master Evergreen grabbed onto the hilt of the sword, then raised it high into the air. In an instant, the sword condensed into a length of 40 meters. The sword pierced through the roof. End of this chapter. Chapter 1209. Die. Young Master Changqing's eyes revealed an ominous glint, and the sword in his hand slashed down. Despicable. Dong Huangling cursed. Dong Huangling, who was 39 meters away, shouted, but he soon became silent. That sword cut him into two, and even the primordial spirit in his head exploded. That attack was too terrifying. A sword mark was left on the entire palace. Everyone felt that the ground was shaking violently. There was a fight inside. Young Master Changqing kept his sword and stood behind Yi Yuanqing. King Yu and Wu Ming did the same. With such a person standing behind Yi Yuanqing, whoever dares to move even a single hair of his, whoever dares to move, that person will die. Therefore Dong Huangling didn't dare to move now. He was afraid that his primordial spirit would fly away and die instantly. Supreme Emperor, are you still not coming out? Do you need me to call you? Yi Yuanqing didn't forget the 2 slaps just now. As a primordial spirit, Dong Huangling didn't know what to do, but he still flew out obediently and turned into a primordial spirit without a physical body. Then, he shut himself up. Yi Yuanqing asked faintly, Supreme Emperor, who do you think is better to sit on this throne? Also, what is the royal inheritance? Young lady, of course the throne is for the capable one. I can see that young lady's face is filled with righteousness, and your strength is extraordinary. You are definitely the best candidate. This throne is something that you should have. Dong Huangling's attitude changed 180 degrees. This is really embarrassing. Under strength we are all lowly. Yi Yuanqing looked at the others and asked faintly, do you all think what the Supreme Emperor said is true? You are the boss now, don't we still listen to you? Whatever you want us to say, we will say it. Everyone followed suit and said all kinds of good things. Shan Junren originally thought that Yi Yuanqing's big brother would come and settle things, and there was no need for Lord Yi to come. It seemed that Lord Ye's strength was even more valiant. His choice was indeed correct. If he had changed sides last night. If I had changed sides last night, I would probably still be among the corpses. Fortunately, I still believe in Lord Yi. Kill him. Yi Yuanqing said faintly. Although Dong Huangling knew that he wouldn't let him go, this was too fast. Therefore, Dong Huangling turned into a small golden ball and ran away desperately. Single character slash. King Yu wielded his black iron saber and slashed out a single character. Upon seeing the blue sky and white clouds, Dong Huang Mausoleum was overjoyed. Soon after he felt that he had become 2 halves. Everyone in Spirit Capital saw a streak of light appear in the sky. It was so bright that they could see it clearly even in the day. Inside the palace, no one dared to breathe loudly. The people from the royal family felt like they were about to piss their pants. Would this woman kill them? Carry out a large-scale purge. This was especially true for the members of the royal family. Originally, when they saw the Supreme Emperor and the retired Emperor return, they thought that everything would be fine. In the end, all of them were instantly killed with 1 sword and 1 saber. Killing a superior supreme was as easy as killing a chicken. How were mortals supposed to live? Yi Yuanqing slowly walked to the seat in the middle. Eunuch, are you still not going to announce it? The eunuch swallowed his saliva and immediately shouted with his duck-like voice, Yi Yuanqing, become the Empress of the God's world. Long live the Empress. Hooray. Long live. As the eunuch shouted, everyone else knelt down and shouted, Long live the Empress. Hooray. Long live. This voice broke through the palace and even the entire spirit capital could hear it. The people who supported Yi Yuanqing immediately cheered, and the entire spirit capital became lively. Although they didn't know what happened inside, the officials all shouted, Long live the Empress, and that meant everything. Yi family chased the royal family out of the palace. This was the first time in history. How shocking. In the Yi family, Yi Shan had already woken up, and beside him were his sons. Everyone heard it. Yi Shan was completely stupefied, and Yi Chen and the others were the same. Big sister succeeded. Big sister became the Empress. Yi Shan smiled. Yuanqing succeeded. I can be at ease now. Inside the palace. Rise. Right now Yi Yuanqing looked a bit like an empress. Although she was still dressed in military attire, it was unable to conceal her imposing manner. Right now Yi Yuanqing wished that he could immediately go and find his big brother, then fiercely throw himself into his big brother's embrace and cry. Of course, those were tears of happiness. Yi Yuanqing thanked his big brother for taking care of him. If not for his big brother, he wouldn't have been able to reach this stage. Firstly, treat everything that happened today as if nothing happened. Within 3 days the royal family will move out of the palace. Also, it is time for this throne to be changed, it is now surnamed Yi. Everyone disperse. Yi Yuanqing's words were very short, but every single sentence he said was the main point. The faces of the members of the royal family were deathly pale, but in their hearts, they were still rejoicing that they didn't get killed. How fortunate. Empress, how are the matters regarding the succession ceremony being arranged? Shan Junren asked respectfully. You all go ahead and arrange it, I have to leave for a while right now. Yes. Yi Yuanqing naturally had to go and find his big brother and tell him this good news that he succeeded. However, Yi Yuanqing didn't bring his 3 little brothers away. He placed them in the palace or at home to ensure the safety of his family. After all, there were only 2 people from the Donghuang family who came, and from the looks of it they looked very weak. If more people came, who knows what the result would be. I have to be careful. Within Wushu Empire, Yi Hua was sitting in the garden. To be precise, he was lying down. If you were to be seen by others like this, your image would be completely gone. Donghuang Baiji said petulantly, then pinched open an orange and sent it to Yi Hua's mouth. Yi Hua chewed on the sweet orange and then, Tue, there are bones inside, why didn't you squeeze them out? Donghuang Baiji, if another person were to try this kind of man, that person would be able to anger you to the point that you would suffer internal injuries. Yi Hua, I am your wife, not your servant. Donghuang Baiji squeezed out a smile and gave a serious warning. Yi Hua pinched onto Donghuang Baiji's cheeks. What, you are not convinced? Come and hit me then. You bastard, do you think that I don't dare to hit you? See if I don't hammer you to death today. After finished speaking, Donghuang Baiji used her small fists to pound onto Yi Hua's chest. Yi Hua took the opportunity to hug onto Donghuang Baiji, and his hands started getting naughty. Yi Hua, we are outside, don't mess around. Donghuang Baiji immediately held onto Yi Hua. It's fine, no one will come. You? Bastard, you are hurting me. I feel that my chest has swelled up a bit and it feels a bit better. Scram. Big brother, sister-in-law, what are you 2 doing? Yi Hua and Donghuang Baiji immediately looked to the side. Donghuang Baiji's face turned red, then hurriedly stood up and hammered onto Yi Hua. Yi Hua's face had already reached the pinnacle of shamelessness. I am flirting with your sister-in-law, and it was disrupted by you, you mischievous fellow. Hearing that, Yi Yuanqing's face turned red. Right now Yi Yuanqing was in the state of a little sister. End of this chapter. Chapter 12:10. Yuanqing, it seems like you have good news today. Donghuang Baiji smiled. Big brother, sister-in-law, thank you. Yi Yuanqing bowed and said sincerely. Yi Hua was able to discern what she was thinking and said with a smile, Are you surprised? Big brother, you're so annoying, why didn't you tell me earlier, I was almost scared to death. Yi Yuanqing started acting coquettishly. The empress acting coquettishly had a unique style, just like Donghuang Baiji. What's wrong with your face? Yi Hua looked at the bloodstain on his little sister's face and couldn't help but ask. Yi Yuanqing smiled, It's nothing, I was beaten up twice but it's not clean yet. After saying that, Yi Yuanqing even wiped his face twice, just that it was getting dirtier and dirtier. Baiji, go and get a basin of water for Yuanqing to wash up. After Donghuang Baiji left, Yi Hua took out a cigarette and lit it. Where's the person who beat you up? Oh, he died. Yi Yuanqing's description was very simple. There wasn't any complicated process. Yi Hua wrinkled his brows and said softly, He must have rung the bell after he was beaten up. Big brother, you won't blame little sister, right? Yi Yuanqing said pitifully. Not only that, I also want to beat you up. Yi Hua pretended to raise his hand. Yi Yuanqing's eyes were closed, but he felt that his head was being patted. Big brother is teasing me again, but I still feel warm in my heart. Yi Hua said helplessly, You are now the emperor, those who you want to kill must be killed, don't keep them and find trouble for yourself. And big brother, I understand, my way of thinking was still too simple. From this matter Yi Yuanqing had a deep understanding. When it's time to be bloody, one must be bloody. Yi Hua nodded his head and threw an orange to his little sister. Alright big brother, that Donghuang surname that you mentioned appeared today, it was that Huang Feidi's father and grandfather. And? They appeared? Where are they? They were killed by the person inside the bell. Oh, is that so? I originally wanted to ask about the situation. Yi Hua said faintly. Right now, he still didn't dare to conclude that Donghuang Baiji was related to that Donghuang surname. But last night something big happened. A few supremes died and father's whirlpool was broken by one of them, turning him into an ordinary person. Those two were too powerful. I couldn't resist at all, Yi Yuanqing said solemnly. Now that he thought about it, he could still feel a chill running down his spine. Two people? Who are you? Yi Hua directly ignored this biological father of his. I don't have a good impression of him at all, and reckon that even if I were to die, there wouldn't be much of a commotion. Yi Yuanqing said in a deep voice, one of them looks pretty good, his eyes are dark purple, very strange. The other one is super fat, bald, holding prayer beads in his hand. His speech is also very strange, but he uses his mouth to kill. After hearing that, Yi Hua's expression became grave as he asked, does it mean that whoever you want to kill will die, and there won't be any fluctuation of aura? That's right. How did you know? Yi Hua flicked the ash off his cigarette and laughed lightly. This laughter of his carried a bit of self-mockery. Because that fatty is one of Big Brother's subordinates. The one with dark purple eyes is also one of Big Brother's subordinates. He was kidnapped by that fatty and probably brainwashed. Ah. Yi Yuanqing was astonished. I didn't expect that the two people who appeared yesterday night were actually Big Brother's subordinates. Yi Hua let out a sigh. That fatty is called Qing Su. He has already forgotten his identity now. This person is an expert in using poison, which is why you two were unable to sense any fluctuation of aura. Yi Yuanqing had a stupefied look on his face. I originally wanted to take revenge, but in the end the other party was actually Big Brother's subordinate. I have been looking for them these few days as well. I didn't expect that they would run to God's realm. Where are they now? Yi Hua asked gravely. I am about to capture this Qing Su. Big Brother, they came over yesterday night precisely for the teleportation point. They went to an unknown plane, and we do not have any records of that plane. Yi Hua extinguished the cigarette butt. This is a bit troublesome. If they went to another plane, it will be even harder to find them. Furthermore, from what Yi Yuanqing said, Dou Fusher seemed to have become stronger, and Qing Su should have modified it a bit. However, Dou Fusher has yet to reach the level of being able to travel through planes, thus he still has to rely on the teleportation point. For the sake of this subordinate, I am also having a headache. Yi Hua rubbed his forehead, feeling that this time I will have to personally take action. I reckon that Wei Chang is currently in another plane as well. When the time comes, I will have to take care of these two people. At this moment, Donghuang Baiji walked over with a basin of water and said with a smile, Yuanqing, when are you planning to ascend to the throne? I am already making arrangements, it should be in a few days. Yi Yuanqing smiled gently towards Donghuang Baiji. Sister-in-law is truly beautiful. Yi Hua, you have to prepare a congratulatory gift then. Of course. Yi Hua nodded his head. Now that his younger sister has become the empress as her older brother, I have to go and support her. After that, I will go and take care of Qing Su's problem. I will bring Donghuang Baiji along with me so that I can spend some time with her so that she won't say that I didn't accompany her. Yi Yuanqing washed his face, then took care of everything under Yi Hua's treatment. After all, she is now an empress and there are still a lot of things that need to be taken care of. Yi Hua, Yuanqing is rather formidable. That's right, becoming an empress at such a young age just like you, my empress. Yi Hua couldn't help but tease. Can't you speak properly? I can't, I just like to see the empress intoxicated under me. Yi Hua. Don't say that when we are outside. Donghuang Baiji was furious. Yi Hua is a king of words. Yi Hua naturally knew that. Putting away his joking thoughts, Yi Hua said faintly, Baiji, after we are done with Yuanqing's coronation ceremony, how about the two of us go out for a walk and relax? Are you that good? Are you going to make a dirty request again? Yi Hua, I'm telling you, hurry up and dispel those terrifying thoughts of yours. Donghuang Baiji naturally knew what Yi Hua was thinking. Yi Hua only wants to enjoy himself, humph. Yi Hua hooked onto the empress's chin. Baiji, I like this small mouth of yours. Go and die. After finished speaking, the empress left while panting with rage. Shameless Yi Hua. Yi Hua shook his head. This empress is truly filthy. Did I just kiss her on the lips? What am I thinking about? What an experienced person. However, after hearing the news about Qing Su, Yi Hua was rather happy. He actually went to the god's realm. This is truly not bad. In the past, I, the Supreme Overlord, would always ask my subordinates to deal with Qing Su. This time I, the Supreme Overlord, will deal with Qing Su by myself. After all, the opponent is a top-notch expert like Qing Su, and I cannot be careless. I still have to be careful when dealing with Qing Su. If other people were to go and get plotted against, the situation would be even worse. Just look at that Ligu. This Qing Su is still very strong. However, the necessary arrangements still have to be made. End of this chapter. Chapter 12:11. Therefore Yi Hua called Zhu Tian over. Subordinate pays respect to your honor. I've waited for so long, why haven't I seen anyone attack? What's going on? In actuality, Yi Hua was very gloomy. These few days I have been waiting all along, but in the end, there wasn't even a single person, let alone clamoring. Zhu Tian said respectfully, Your Honor, perhaps, those people are afraid of your honor's might, and that's why they are avoiding the battle. Absolute heaven, you've learned how to flatter as well. Everything this subordinate says is true. Then I will gladly accept it. Zhu Tian lowered his head with a smile. Seems like his honor is in a good mood. In a few days I will leave with Baiji for a period of time. We already know the whereabouts of Qing Su. This time I will personally go out. You guys stay at home and guard the place. Who knows if those people will attack us or not. Also, you guys need to improve your strength. Don't regret it when you are defeated. Your honor is right, I will supervise this area. Your honor can be at ease. Yes, how are the people who went to train? Absolute heaven said in a low voice. 3 of them are heavily injured, while the others are injured to varying degrees. They don't even have time to rest every day. Don't make a move unless it's a matter of life and death. That would be meaningless. Yes. This subordinate understands. Although Yi Hua didn't plan to get involved in this matter, he still had Zhu Tian pay attention to it. Standing up, Yi Hua planned to go and take a look at Gong Yu's situation. This Xiao Tian isn't at home and mother isn't at home either. A woman sitting alone in the bedroom waiting would inevitably be suspected of being depressed. Therefore he still had to go and take a look. It would be bad if little Tian came back and found out that his wife had become an idiot. After arriving at Gong Yu's sleeping quarters, Yi Hua saw that Gong Yu was currently taking care of the flowers and plants, and palace maids were following behind her. Seems different from what I thought. Greetings, Your Majesty. When the palace maids saw the emperor, they hurriedly saluted. Of course Gong Yu was the same. Yi Hua waved his hand and asked the palace maid to stand at the side. If I have any questions I will ask Gong Yu. Gong Yu, how have you been these days? Yi Hua asked faintly. This Gong Yu is the one who is pregnant with the child of the second family in the entire group other than my family. Gong Yu happily said, Thank you for your concern, big brother emperor. I've been fine these past few days. Well, if you're really bored, you can go out of the palace for a walk or go chat with Yu Hua and the others. Gong Yu was a little afraid to go, but she couldn't say it out loud. She respectfully said, Yes, I will go. I'll be going out in a few days. Take care of yourself. Okay, I won't let anything happen to the child. Yi Hua was very gratified. I have seen the change in Gong Yu with my own eyes. This time Xiao Tian is rather fortunate. He was just afraid that there would be too much good fortune for him to enjoy. After chatting for a while, Yi Hua walked out of the bedroom. I wonder how Qingya and the others are doing. He wouldn't be back for a while. That was good. He could spend some alone time with Baiji. 3 days later, Yi Hua and Donghuang Baiji appeared in Spirit City. However, the 2 of them changed their appearances slightly. They mainly wanted to hear if there were any reactions to Yi Yuanqing becoming the empress. It was also good for Yi Yuanqing to pay attention. Perhaps this was what a big brother should do. This feeling is really good. Donghuang Baiji hugged onto Yi Hua's arm and leaned on him tightly. Just a while ago I thought that Yi Hua was just joking around with me, or maybe he was just making a request. Only today did I know that Yi Hua was really joking around with me. From the looks of it, I have wronged Yi Hua. At most, I will just be obedient in the future. Baiji, in the past, I didn't have the chance to properly accompany you. Right now you should be satisfied, right? Yi Hua said lightly, and a doting arc could be seen on the corner of his mouth. Yes, I'm so happy I could die. Haha, that's right. Yi Hua expressed that he was very happy. My woman being happy is just that simple, and it has nothing to do with money. I, the Supreme Overlord, have never had money before, and I don't even know what money is. This is related to martial arts. As long as one's martial arts are deep enough, one would be able to have endless aftertaste. Men should be strong. Always ready. Let's go in and have a cup of tea. Yi Hua pulled Dong Huang Baiji and walked into a tea house. After finding an ordinary seat and sitting down, Yi Hua ordered a plate of peanuts and a bottle of wine. Afterward, he listened to what the people around him were saying. Yi Hua felt that the people that were sitting around him were all grandmaster-level figures. They even know about the matter of adults keeping mistresses outside. Hey, have you guys heard of it? The truth of what happened in the palace this time. Is the process still important? In any case, I feel that the Empress is pretty good. It's true that the Empress is good, but I'm afraid that you all don't know about the process, right? The degree of bloodshed during the process has reached 10 stars. Hearing what you said, I'm curious as well. Just what exactly happened? I'll tell you all about it then, but what about the money for the tea? I'll pay for it, Yi Hua said faintly. Brother, you sure are generous. Yi Hua liked to hear these words and he shouted out, I, young Master Yi, will be paying for all the expenses here today. After everyone heard what Yi Hua said, they went into a daze for a moment. Soon after, everyone started cheering. The boss is indeed different. Dong Huang Baiji let out a light sigh. Even this is happening, this is really enough. Let me tell you all about it. The various abnormal phenomena that happened that day was not a coincidence. At the start, our Empress was completely suppressed. Do you all know why? What? That's because that mysterious East Royal family's people came over to help the East Royal family. Because of that, our Empress was unable to protect us. So there was such a thing. What happened after that? After that, it became even more amazing. Our Prince Yi descended from the sky, and with a shake of his body, he scared a bunch of people to death. Those East Royal family members didn't even dare to say a single word, and they directly offered the throne to Yi Hua with both of their hands. After hearing that, the corner of Yi Hua's mouth twitched. This rumor can really be called a rumor. Even my main body came out and my body shook. Dong Huang Baiji, who was at the side, covered her mouth and laughed lightly. What are you laughing at? Yi Hua stretched out his hand and pinched onto the Empress's cheeks, making it seem as if his appearance wasn't enough to achieve such an effect. Nothing much, I just feel that it is funny, that's all. Dong Huang Baiji couldn't hold it in anymore. Look at those people in the surroundings, they are all praising Yi Hua to the heavens. Yi Hua even wanted to smack this woman's but to actually doubt my body. Yi Hua, what's going on with that East Royal family? Dong Huang Baiji asked curiously. Yi Hua didn't plan to hide it from Dong Huang Baiji and said lightly, this East Royal family is also known as the East Royal family. East Royal family is their original surname, and every time an emperor abdicates, they would change their name to East Royal family and go to another plane to continue training. Oh, what a coincidence, their surname is actually East Royal family. Dong Huang Baiji mumbled, wondering if I am related to them. Yi Hua said faintly, Baiji, I have a feeling that you are related to this East Royal family. Related? What do you mean? Dong Huang Baiji asked curiously. End of this chapter. Chapter 12:12. Yi Hua asked faintly, do you still remember what happened in the past? Are you talking about Zishan's ex-husband? Dong Huang Baiji asked curiously. Yi Hua nodded his head. You should be called Marquis or something, right? It is said that he was the one who placed you on Earth, and it should be more appropriate to call you imprisoned. Qingya seems to be the same as well. Dong Huang Baiji did not say anything. Yi Hua continued, this Prince Marquis is originally someone from God's realm. Although his status isn't as high as Lingdu's, he is at least a prince. If we were to hand him over to Lingdu's people, it would be easy for us to discover him. However, if we were to hand him over to a prince from another place, it would be much safer. Yi Hua, are you saying that my father had already started at that time? Dong Huang Baiji was a bit astonished. No, starting from the first in your family. Do you have a grandfather? I don't know. In my memory there is only father's generation and father never mentioned anything else. Dong Huang Baiji said in a low voice while tightly wrinkling her brows. Yi Hua stroked onto Dong Huang Baiji's hair, then asked in a low voice, how about it? Are you interested in going and understanding more about it? Perhaps your Dong Huang family has been framed and hidden on Earth. I don't want to go. Dong Huang Baiji said lightly. How can I do that? My woman was wronged, and as your husband, I naturally have to help you seek justice. Yi Hua said coldly. You just want to go and act cool, right? Do you still think that I don't know? Dong Huang Baiji said. Yi Hua said in a low voice, am I that kind of person? I just don't want you to bear any crime. If there's anything, let's solve it together. If there's any hatred, let's use blood to wash it away. This is also worthy of your father. Dong Huang Baiji slightly lowered her head. Yi Hua said lightly, "Idiot, what are you crying for? Are you very touched? Just properly serve me at night and that will be enough." Dong Huang Baiji could be seen raising her head and revealing out a strange smile. "This time around, let me act cool." Yi Hua, fuck, I actually thought that this woman was sad. The result was unexpected. Hubby, no. This is what I discovered. Yi Hua rejected harshly. It wasn't easy for me to find something that I can do. You just have to stand behind me. Would you have discovered it without me? I've also contributed. I don't care. I'll look at you every time. We'll just stand by the side and not talk. Hubby, let me go this once at most, I will let you have a good time tonight. Dong Huang Baiji's eyebrows twitched. From the looks of it, Yi Hua's heart has been moved. Really? Of course it's true. I'm not like you who knows how to lie to others. Dong Huang Baiji pouted her mouth. Alright then. If you make me happy tonight, I'll give you half of the points. Only half. That's out of the question. Alright, what's wrong with giving way to your wife? If it wasn't for us, you can just prepare to be a single dog for the rest of your life. Dong Huang Baiji said petulantly. Dong Huang Baiji did not know how to dote on her wife at all. Yi Hua expressed his dissatisfaction. Hee, if you have the ability, why don't you give it a try? Yi Hua, I see that you have been a bit arrogant recently, don't do stupid things. Baiji, I find that you have been a little arrogant recently. Are you trying to challenge my bottom line? Why don't we get a room and spar? Hee, who's afraid of who? I won't kill you. Dong Huang Baiji wasn't afraid at all. I'm just afraid that your legs won't be able to stand stably. Let's go then, my empress. Let's go. However, inside the palace, Yi Yuanqing was currently wearing an imperial robe. Furthermore, it was a specially made female imperial robe, and it seemed to have a different style to it. Right at this moment, Shan Yu was reporting some problems to Yi Yuanqing, and Yi Yuanqing was thinking, didn't Big Brother say that he will be arriving today? Why isn't he here yet? Empress? Shan Yu called out lightly, pulling Yi Yuanqing back to reality. What's the matter? Shan Yu said helplessly, Empress, did you hear what I said just now? I didn't. Shan Yu, this is just like an ancestor. Father even wants me to be her male pet, and even if I'm beaten to death, I won't do it. When the time comes, I will just be thrown into the cold palace by a single sentence. Say it one more time. Shan Yu was a bit absent-minded as he looked at the long report. Say it one more time? I said it for an hour just now, and it was all bullsh*t. This time Yi Yuanqing was listening very seriously. However, Shan Yu said, Empress, I'm worried that someone will come and cause trouble during the coronation ceremony this time around. Are you referring to the Dong Huang family name? Shan Yu nodded his head. Other than this family name, is there anything else? Dong Huang Baiji said faintly, let's not talk about the fact that there are 3 formidable experts present. Furthermore, my big brother will also be coming this time around. Shan Yu let out a sigh of relief. If Prince Yi is here, everything will be fine. Even if someone from the Dong Huang family comes, they will still be safe and sound. Having an extra layer of safety is rather good. Just like that, Yi Yuanqing continued to wait for his big brother. He waited until the sun set and soon after night came. Where did big brother and sister-in-law go? Tomorrow is the coronation ceremony, and the two of you have a mission that needs to be announced. Then, at a tavern, a man and a woman walked out. The man was slightly bending his waist, while the woman had a relaxed look on her face, seemingly to be in a very good mood. Come over and help me up. Yi Hua said petulantly. Dong Huang Baiji snorted, do you know how formidable I am? Dong Huang Baiji. Do you even need to circulate your energy to do this kind of thing? Do you have any moral integrity? So what? Aren't you very happy? Yi Hua was indeed very happy, but because it was too exciting he ended up being defeated again and again. I never expected that after so many years, Dong Huang Baiji would finally release such a big move. It made my legs go soft and my waist also felt a bit painful. Didn't you say that you will give me half of it? I have never seen such a shameless person like you. I learned from you the kind of husband you have, the kind of wife you have. I really have to give up. The two immediately disappeared from the spot and arrived at the imperial palace. Big brother, sister-in-law, you two are finally here. Big brother, what happened to you? You are injured. Just when Yi Hua wanted to explain, Dong Huang Baiji smiled and said, your big brother was too arrogant today, so sister-in-law bullied him. If not for my sister being here, I would definitely let you know what a man is. Yi Yuanqing found it hard to believe. Sister-in-law actually bullied Big Brother? Big Brother looks so miserable right now. Sister-in-law is still the formidable one to be able to bully Big Brother to this extent. Looking at his sister's pitiful gaze, Yi Hua decided. Tonight I am going to fight the Empress. The kind where I won't rest until one of us dies. Yuanqing, your Big Brother can't hold on anymore, he needs to rest. Yi Hua, sister-in-law, come with me. Yi Yuanqing supported his Big Brother up. Big Brother's legs seem to have gone soft, it seems like he is badly injured. Yi Hua said lightly to Donghuang Baiji, I am going to kill you later. End of chapter. Chapter 12-13. I'm the one who said that to you. Donghuang Baiji said with a smile. In the past, I gave in to you because I didn't want to lose your dignity as a man. But now you don't want to give in to me anymore. You are showing your cards. Now you know how weak you are, right? Yi Yuanqing told Donghuang Baiji the things to take note of tomorrow, and Donghuang Baiji expressed that she understood. Big Brother, rest well, I will go back first. Don't worry, I will take good care of your Big Brother. Looking at sister-in-law's strange expression, Yi Yuanqing couldn't help but shiver. Big Brother is so pitiful, I should just leave. I wonder if Big Brother will be able to walk tomorrow. However, Yi Hua planned to teach the Empress how to be a person tonight. However, the next morning. Yi Hua, wake up, the clothes have been sent over. Donghuang Baiji was incomparably beautiful, but Yi Hua, lying at the side like a corpse, it feels even scarier than 1 versus 4, this is simply too cruel. Yi Hua, stop pretending to be dead, hurry up and wake up, you still have to go up on stage to give a speech today. Yi Hua, go up on stage to give a speech? I reckon that I will need someone to support me up on stage. I didn't expect the Empress to have such a trump card. In the past she was obviously going easy on me and now she is being beaten up so badly. Baiji, let's discuss something. What is it? Don't tell them. Donghuang Baiji went into a daze for a moment, then laughed out loud to the point where tears were flowing out. Yi Hua shook his head. This move of the Empress is truly hard to guard against. However, it feels really good. Come over and wear my clothes. Yi Hua said gravely. What's the big deal about cheating? Look at me, when did I cheat? Alright, my big master, I will serve you. Donghuang Baiji's smile had never been seen before, causing Yi Hua to feel very gloomy. After wearing his clothes, Yi Hua drank a pill, then revived. I mustn't lose my face. Yo hubby, you are still drinking pills? I can't take it anymore. Your Majesty, if you continue to be so arrogant, something bad will happen. Hubby, you love me the most, you definitely won't bully me anymore. Hee hee, now you know to act coquettishly. Where did that arrogance you had yesterday go? Yi Hua laughed coldly. Hubby, please forgive me, I won't bully you anymore. Yi Hua. Forget it, it's rare for the Empress to act coquettishly. As a man, no matter what, I have to be a bit more magnanimous. Am I that kind of petty man? He had a big appetite. As the big brother of the Empress, Yi Hua's current identity was rather respectable. In actuality, anyone who was smart would know that. Lord Yi is the boss. Without Lord Yi, how could Yi Yuanqing become Empress? On the surface she was the Empress, but in secret, Lord Yi was the Emperor. On the altar, Yi Yuanqing was dressed in the attire of an emperor. The dragon embroidered with golden silk symbolized majesty, and the dragon crown also looked very domineering. Although it added a feminine flavor, it did not suit the majesty of an emperor. Yi Hua, who was standing below, looked at his little sister and felt gratified in his heart. Yi Yuanqing was more mature than little Tian, but after this incident little Tian would also mature. He was looking forward to little Tian's performance in the future. Shan Junren looked at Yi Hua, who was beside him, and sighed in his heart. This Prince Yi doesn't want to be the emperor himself and actually let his younger sister be the emperor. I don't understand, could it be that he doesn't like me? It's not that he doesn't like me, but the main thing is that I am already the emperor in Kangluo continent. Could it be that I want to run over here and become the emperor? That's too much, it's enough for me to just be an emperor. Yi Hua, look at Yuanqing, he is even more powerful than me. Donghuang Baiji was a bit envious of Yi Yuanqing, to actually become the empress of God's realm. And I am just the empress of a small place. Compared to Yi Yuanqing, I am not even on the same level. Yi Hua said softly beside Donghuang Baiji's ear, when you ride on me you are riding on the entire world. Donghuang Baiji's face turned red, and she couldn't help but pinch Yi Hua. This bastard, there are so many people here, his skin is so thick. Shan Yu, who was standing at the back, saw Donghuang Baiji's action. She actually pinched Lord Yi, and Lord Yi actually didn't seem to be angry at all. This is too mystical. Just what kind of man is this Lord Yi? So mysterious. Yi Hua looked at the altar. Right now the jade seal was being handed over. However, when Yi Hua looked at the sky, he slightly wrinkled his brows. Such an important moment, there is always someone coming to disturb me. This is truly annoying. If I didn't guess wrongly, it should be that person with the surname Dong Huang. Previously, I didn't manage to find an opportunity, but now the opportunity is right in front of me. Above the sky, countless golden lights could be seen descending. However, under this dazzling light, a powerful might was concealed, causing people to not dare to look straight at it. In the sky, 8 people stood up. They were all wearing the same uniform, golden robes. However, from the collar, it could be seen that the person at the very front was a government official. The collar was flipped up just like an abalone. Yi Hua felt that these 8 people were only average and they were slightly stronger than that Huang Feidi. However, this was just Yi Hua's point of view. Other people didn't feel the same way. These people are simply even more powerful than the Supreme Emperor. The aura that they released was just like a gale, causing people to tremble in fear. Who is that woman below? The man at the very front had a very delicate appearance. The corners of his eyes were tilted upwards, giving off a very feminine feeling. Coupled with his fair skin, he lost a bit of masculinity. This was Dong Huang Qingru. Dong Huang Qingru had a very feminine name. Yi Yuanqing raised his head and looked towards the sky. This group of people came aggressively, and they didn't even put everyone in their eyes. Wu Ming, Young Master Evergreen, and King Yu, who were standing at the side, were already getting restless. As long as they say a single word, I will take their lives. However, the Empress has yet to say anything. Yi Yuanqing had guessed that something unexpected would definitely happen today or maybe in the future. However, he didn't expect that something unexpected would still happen today. My name is Yi Yuanqing. Dong Huang Qingru's gaze turned grave. A person with the surname Yi. Why are you wearing these clothes? Yi Hua slowly walked out of the group and said indifferently, who said that people with the surname Yi can't wear these clothes, and who are you? Where did this monkey come from? Audacious. This is the head guard of the vestibule. Dong Huang Qingru. If you are sensible, hurry up and kowtow and commit suicide. A man behind Yi Hua shouted out. After hearing that, Yi Hua went into a daze, then asked curiously, oh? Then is there a head guard of the vestibule? You know of the Dong Huang Qi? Dong Huang Qingru asked confusedly. F***K, there really is such a title, this is too careless. Just who was the one who came up with such a ridiculous name? Aren't they afraid of being laughed at by others? However, this group of people really does have the surname Dong Huang, that is great. I don't know you and I'm not interested in knowing you. Are you all from the 9 provinces and 5 seas? Yi Hua asked curiously. End of this chapter. Chapter 12-14. Dong Huang Qingru's gaze froze. She didn't say anything. However, looking at Dong Huang Qingru's current appearance, Yi Hua already knew that they were really from the 9 provinces and 5 seas, which meant that they were together with Meng Yao. I wonder if Qing Su and Wei Chang are in this place. It would be best if they are in the 9 regions and the 5 seas. When the time comes, I'll deal with all of them at once so that I won't have to run around. Speak, what do you all want? Yi Hua asked faintly. Dong Huang Qingru smiled calmly and said, don't you know why I'm here? A few days ago the Dong Huang Mausoleum and the Dong Huang clan came down, but they haven't returned yet. They must be dead by now. Yi Hua laughed lightly. Your feeling is correct, they have already gone to hell to have fun. How dare you? How dare you kill the people of the Eastern royal family? Dong Huang Qingru's eyes focused and immediately released a terrifying aura. This aura was much stronger than that of the East Emperor Mausoleum. At least that was what Yi Yuanqing felt. Dong Huang Qingru suddenly looked towards Dong Huang Baiji, who was behind Yi Hua. Dong Huang Qingru slowly retracted her aura and her brows slightly wrinkled. You are? Dong Huang Qingru could sense a very pure bloodline from Dong Huang Baiji's body. Only those with the Eastern Emperor bloodline were qualified to possess such a pure bloodline. People like Eastern Emperor Mausoleum and the others could only be considered as a side branch of the Eastern Emperor clan. Yi Hua did not make a sound. Seems like this person seems to have discovered something. That would be for the best. Seeing that Yi Hua did not say anything, Dong Huang Baiji said, my name is Dong Huang Baiji. Your surname is Dong Huang? Dong Huang Qingru was even more confused. The Eastern Emperor family didn't seem to have any orphans in the outside world. Now, a woman with a very pure bloodline actually appeared in the Eastern Emperor family. This was a little unclear. Dong Huang Baiji said faintly, I have already said it earlier. Who is your father? Dong Huang Qingru asked curiously. Dong Huangpa. Dong Huangpa? There was no such person in the orthodox lineage, so how could this woman have such a pure bloodline? Dong Huang Qingru didn't beat around the bush and asked in a deep voice, why do you have such a pure bloodline? Along with what Dong Huang Qingru said, Yi Hua and Dong Huang Baiji knew that there might really be a connection between the two of them. Dong Huang Baiji also wanted to know the reason, thus she said in a low voice, I don't know. Looks like you'll have to make a trip with me. Dong Huang Qingru said faintly. This was related to the problem of losing her bloodline. She couldn't afford to be careless. Yi Hua took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up. This set of actions was as smooth as flowing water. That slightly tilted cigarette was like a boss, not putting anyone in his eyes. If Yi Hua had to say what posture was the most handsome and pretentious, Yi Hua said that he was not snapping his fingers, but lighting a cigarette. Especially when he took the first sip, his slightly narrowed eyes revealed a cold killing intent. I think that you are mistaken about one thing. This woman is one of my people, and it doesn't seem to be appropriate for you to bring her away just like that, right? Yi Hua said faintly. I can't appear too radical, right? I can't appear to be too eager, right? Dong Huang Qingru was completely unable to sense Yi Hua's aura, and she thought that Yi Hua was just an ordinary person. After all, in a place like this, it wasn't strange for there to be ordinary people. Humph. Do I need your permission to take someone away? Just how noble is my Eastern Emperor clan? Are you even worthy to be together with someone with such a pure bloodline? Everyone who was present took in a breath of cold air. It was hard for them to digest what they heard just now. All in all, this Eastern Emperor clan is a very powerful person. Even the Emperor is just a small soldier over there. Just look at what this person said just now. Furthermore, I didn't expect that Prince Ye's woman is actually a member of the Eastern Emperor clan as well. Listening to this person's tone, her bloodline is rather pure. If that's the case, it would be incredible. Yi Hua slightly narrowed his eyes, then pulled Dong Huang Baiji into his embrace and kissed her. This was Yi Hua's usual method of acting cool. Using a woman to act cool, although it was a bit low, a woman like Dong Huang Baiji was indeed able to give him face. Furthermore, these people even raised Dong Huang Baiji's identity, making the feeling even more different. Dong Huang Baiji still doesn't know who Yi Hua is, showing off his own wife. I'm really impressed. But who asked me to be so good-looking? It is normal for me to show off a bit in front of my husband. Thus, the current scene was Dong Huang Baiji hugging onto Yi Hua's neck, and the two were currently kissing passionately. When Yi Yuanqing saw his big brother and sister-in-law, his face turned red. Big brother and sister-in-law are really shameless. There are so many people looking at them and they actually started kissing. However, Dong Huang Qingru, who was in the sky, had a gloomy expression. This man is actually profaning such a pure bloodline. This is simply intolerable. Dong Huang Qingru could be seen stretching out her finger, and a golden light instantly condensed on her fingertip, which then instantly attacked towards the back of Yi Hua's head. Dong Huang Baiji sensed the golden light, and she opened her beautiful eyes and looked towards Dong Huang Qingru. When the latter was looked at by Dong Huang Baiji, her entire body seemed to have stiffened. A huge three-headed golden crow could be seen condensing behind Dong Huang Baiji. This scene gave everyone a fright, and even Dong Huang Qingru was stupefied. Roar! The three-headed golden crow let out a furious roar, and the golden light instantly turned into thin air. However, Dong Huang Qingru and the others were all forced to retreat for over 10 steps, and a trace of blood flowed out from the corner of their mouths. The void in the sky gradually disappeared, but everyone had yet to regain their senses. This was the first time Yi Yuanqing saw his sister-in-law like this. Yi Yuanqing's face was filled with astonishment. So sister-in-law is actually this powerful? I truly didn't expect this. That three-headed golden crow just now was so terrifying. It seemed as if it was able to tear the world apart. Yi Hua let go of Dong Huang Baiji's red lips and said in a low voice, we agreed that we would each take half of the loot. Then I will start first. Dong Huang Baiji laughed lightly, then kissed Yi Hua once again, indicating to him to calm down and to give in to his wife. Yi Hua dotingly pinched onto Dong Huang Baiji's cheek, then looked towards the people who were not far away. I feel that they seem to have been scared silly. How can this be? I have not even started yet. You all have already been scared silly by my wife. This isn't good, right? Dong Huang Qingru was indeed scared silly to the point that she peed her pants. That huge void just now. Three-headed golden crow. This This is the symbol of the family head. This woman. How can this be? Could it be that she activated her bloodline? That's impossible. Other than the family head, how can there be someone else who is able to activate her bloodline? Furthermore, that three-headed golden crow just now seemed to be even more terrifying. Just what is the background of this woman? However, right now there is only one thing that I need to do. Dong Huang Qingru could be seen kneeling down on one knee. When everyone behind her saw this scene, they all kneeled down as well. When everyone saw that those people actually kneeled down, they all had astonished expressions on their faces. Why did they kneel down? Could it be that they are admitting defeat? Are they admitting defeat before the battle even started? Right now Yihua was very unhappy. Dong Huang Baiji had snatched away all of the limelight, and there is completely no room for me to display my skills. End of this chapter. Chapter 12-15. These people were simply too cowardly and boring. Weren't they very arrogant when they first arrived? Dong Huang Qingru wanted to shout, but she didn't know what to shout. This was a sign that only a clan master should have. Could it be that she had to call this woman clan master? That's obviously not the case. What should I do? How should I solve this problem? Dong Huang Qingru really wanted to pretend that she did not see it. Yihua asked faintly, "What do you mean by this? Why are you kneeling down?" Dong Huang Qingru really wanted to correct him. "This is not kneeling, okay? This is a form of etiquette. Are you blind?" Dong Huang Qingru didn't want to bother with Yihua and said towards Dong Huang Baiji, "Young lady, please come back with us to verify what you said." "Prove what?" Yihua asked curiously. Dong Huang Qingru glared at Yihua angrily. "I'm talking to her, don't interrupt." "Little friend, you are really rude." Yihua waved his hand at the air. Bah. This sound was a little loud, but it didn't send Dong Huang Qingru flying. However, Dong Huang Qingru's face tilted. Everyone was shocked, especially those who were standing behind Dong Huang Qingru. How could this be possible? The head guard of the vestibule was slapped in the face, and he didn't even have time to react. Who was this man? Dong Huang Qingru was astonished. She was actually beaten up. How many years has it been? This was the first time he had been slapped in the face. "How dare you hit me? Do you know what will happen to you?" "Bah," Yihua said faintly. "End? I only know how to end others." The officials sighed in their hearts. As expected of Prince Yi, he really didn't give them any face at all. He even slapped the Dong Huang clan's face when he wanted to. Then who wouldn't dare to fight? This was too terrifying. Fortunately, he was standing on Lord Ye's side. Otherwise he wouldn't even know how he died. Initially, Yihua was planning to pretend to be a captive. However, after thinking about it, he felt that this wasn't appropriate. From what Baiji had shown just now, she must have definitely let him know something. If not, how could she possibly keep on saying that she has a pure bloodline? If he was the boss of that side and suddenly heard that someone else had a pure bloodline, he would probably be anxious. Thinking about it this way, it seemed that there was something fishy going on. For example, two pure-blooded people were fighting for the position of the family head. Then one of them cheated and exiled the other. There shouldn't be anything wrong with my deduction. This should be the case. I'll let him bring back the news first and then I'll go over myself. Are you panicking or not? Dong Huang Qingru. Dong Huang Qingru's face was. Dong Huang Qingru's face was slapped swollen. She looked so embarrassed that she wished she could disappear. But facing such a situation, Dong Huang Qingru knew that she was no match for them. If she were to force herself, she would definitely die. Since these two people said they would come, then it couldn't be any better. I said, "You will regret this." The gigolo that stands behind a woman. After she finished speaking, Dong Huang Qingru disappeared along with her subordinates. The corner of Yihua's mouth twitched slightly. "Just now, with which eye of yours did you see me standing behind a woman? It was simply making something out of nothing. I will remember these words and I will return them to you when the time comes." I said. Wah. Oh, Yihua was also aware of this. Just now he had only slapped them twice, and when the time comes he would slowly deal with these people. The ceremony continued. After that, Yihua gave a speech. Although he said it tactfully, what he meant was that if my little sister dares to mess around, I can only send her off in despair. Anyway, it was all kinds of tactful threats. Anyone who was smart would understand. After all, who would dare to mess around? They would respectfully call him Lord Yi. After the ceremony ended, Yihua prepared to bring Dong Huang Baiji to 9 provinces and 5 seas. But before leaving, Yi Hua asked his little sister to bring him to Qing Su's teleportation coordinates. When he saw the coordinates, Yi Hua knew that it was the coordinates to 9 provinces and 5 seas. Qing Su was an ordinary person, and he couldn't fulfill the teleportation conditions. Do Fusher could only teleport to God's realm. If one wanted to go to 9 provinces and 5 seas, one had to rely on this teleportation location. But for someone like Yi Hua, there was no need to use this teleportation. Meng Yao had the strength to come and go as she pleased. After knowing Qing Su's location, Yi Hua had an idea. I'm going to wake Qing Su up. If Wei Chang was in this plane, that would be perfect. They could get rid of him together. After returning to the palace, Yi Yuanqing suddenly asked, "Big brother, do you want to go and see father?" "He has nothing to do with me," Yi Hua said faintly. I, the Supreme Overlord, had just met Yi Hua, and I had already beaten up Yi Hua. This could be considered as helping my mother vent out her anger. If it wasn't for giving my mother face, I would have directly killed Yi Hua. Yi Yuanqing knew that the relationship between his big brother and father wasn't good, so he didn't continue to persuade his big brother. In actuality, he didn't understand why his father was so against his big brother. In actuality, his father is still quite good. Although he always scolds his big brother, at the crucial moment he still stood up for him. If not for his father, I might. Dong Huang Baiji, who was at the side, didn't dare to say anything. There were some things that she could persuade Yi Hua, but there were some things that would make Yi Hua, who has a bad temper, unhappy. Yi Yuanqing pursed her lips. "Big brother, are you going to go now?" "That's right, that Qing Su is in 9 provinces and 5 seas, I have to go and find him." "That's right, let your subordinates guard the palace. I am afraid that those people will come back again. Keep this bamboo flute, if you are in trouble just blow it." Yi Hua passed a bamboo flute to Yi Yuanqing. Yi Yuanqing took the bamboo flute and asked curiously, "Big brother, is there a surprise?" "Idiot, this is to ask big brother's subordinates to help. Big brother has something to do over there, so he can't come." "Yes, big brother, I understand. You and sister-in-law should be careful." Yi Yuanqing was still a little worried. Wouldn't it be a little dangerous if only big brother and sister-in-law went? Big brother's subordinates were so powerful, why didn't he bring them? In the past, Yi Hua had always been asking his subordinates to do things for him, and right now he felt that he was about to become rusty. It was important for him to go out and exercise his muscles and bones. Big brother understands. Just be a good emperor. You are big brother's pride. After saying that, Yi Hua opened up his arms. Yi Yuanqing lightly hugged Yi Hua. This was a hug between siblings, there was no other meaning to it. Dong Huang Baiji stood at the side and did not say anything. She knew that Yi Hua only treated Yi Yuanqing as his younger sister. Seeing her big brother and sister-in-law disappear in front of her, Yi Yuanqing's face gradually tensed up. At this moment, Yi Yuanqing was the queen. She had changed from the little girl just now. But in the 9 provinces and 5 seas, Dong Huang Qingru returned to her clan with unwillingness. The Eastern royal clan was situated on a rainbow. End of chapter. Chapter 12:16. This wasn't an ordinary rainbow, this was a rainbow that was stacked on top of each other, layer after layer. Every layer was a different color. However, the color at the very top was orange. Furthermore, every layer was very huge. If someone wanted to attack the Dong Huang family, they would have to attack from the first layer up. Every layer was guarded by people, and other than people, there were also beasts. However, the Dong Huang family had never been attacked for tens of thousands of years. This was the only time the Dong Huang family was exterminated before they even saw the first layer. Dong Huang Qingru was the head guard of the first layer, and right now he was reporting his mission. As the manager of the first layer, Dong Huang Fei was drinking his tea indifferently, as if he didn't care about the matter at all, and he even revealed a smile on his face. "Floor leader. Subordinates' words are all true," Dong Huang Qingru said gravely, feeling that Dong Huang Fei didn't believe his words. Dong Huang Fei laughed. "Qingru, stop messing around. What 3-headed golden crow? It is a serious crime to say it out. It is impossible for the Dong Huang bloodline to be outside. If it is, it would be a humiliation to the entire Dong Huang family." Speaking till the end, Dong Huang Fei's face became taut, warning Dong Huang Qingru not to speak recklessly. Dong Huang Qingru didn't seem to realize the seriousness of the matter, but now that he heard it, it does make sense. "Then, floor leader, what should we do?" "Just treat it as if nothing happened, don't look into it anymore. Even if something happens, we won't blame it on you, and of course we won't implicate me as well. Don't tell anyone about this matter and those people that you brought along if necessary. Dong Huang Fei made a gesture of cutting his throat, scaring Dong Huang Qingru. Floor leader, if this matter is looked into, the ones who will lose their heads will be you and me. Subordinate, understood. You can leave now. Yes. Looking at Dong Huang Qingru's back view, Dong Huang Fei tightly wrinkled his brows. Seems like it's true. As a floor manager, I naturally know some insider information. That was something that happened a long time ago. Dong Huang Fei didn't dare to continue thinking about it. This matter belongs to the family's top secret. If it's really like what Dong Huang Qingru said, then I'm afraid. I can only hope that that person can't be found. Yi Hua and Dong Huang Baiji were both pointing their swords at this place. This kind of high-level plane teleportation, Yi Hua wasn't able to accurately grasp it, and it was considered to be random. Where to go would depend on the will of the heavens. For example, right now Yi Hua and Dong Huang Baiji appeared in the same room. The furnishings of this room were quite romantic. They were all bright red, and there were even portraits of women hanging on the walls. They were incomparably seductive and coquettish. However, human reproduction was going on the bed. Dong Huang Baiji went into a daze for a moment, then immediately closed her eyes and turned around. Meanwhile, Yi Hua laughed lightly. This man is useless. Look at that woman, she is just pretending. Perhaps the two people on the bed were too engrossed and did not notice their arrival at all. Yi Hua felt that this should be a brothel. He actually teleported to a place like this. That was quite interesting. Pulling onto Dong Huang Baiji's hand, Yi Hua walked out of the room. That woman is simply too dazzling. There's someone here? No. I heard the door just now. It doesn't exist. Don't move. After walking out of the brothel, Yi Hua hugged onto Dong Huang Baiji and observed the brothel. Feels extraordinary. This brothel was cylindrical in shape. Looking down, it was very tall. The height of the brothel was at least tens of floors, and it looked just like those large-scale shopping malls. Furthermore, it was packed with people, and the air was filled with a romantic atmosphere. Yi Hua felt that there was some kind of aphrodisiac in the air. Look at those men, their faces are all red. The boss of this brothel sure knows how to do business. Furthermore, this kind of building doesn't even exist in the God's realm. Yi Hua became a bit interested in the 9 provinces and 5 seas. Bringing your wife to a brothel, interesting, right? Yi Hua couldn't help but tease. You are definitely doing this on purpose. Dong Huang Baiji said petulantly. Yi Hua shook his head and did not explain anything. If I say that I can't control it, Baiji will laugh at me. Walking down the stairs, Yi Hua discovered that how long are we going to walk? Brother, there is a formation at the side, how are you going to walk down the stairs? A man hugged onto a flirtatious woman and said. Originally, he didn't want to remind Dong Huang Baiji, but after seeing how beautiful Dong Huang Baiji was, he decided to give her some face. Yi Hua said faintly, of course I know, I am just bored. After finished speaking, Yi Hua pulled Dong Huang Baiji and walked down the stairs. Dong Huang Baiji covered her mouth and laughed lightly. You are embarrassed, aren't you? Yi Hua felt very awkward. So there is a formation that leads to the first floor. I know about it. And you know about it, I understand. Dong Huang Baiji covered her mouth and laughed lightly. However, since her husband wanted face as his wife, she naturally had to give him face. Yi Hua and Dong Huang Baiji were on the first floor, and both of them took a formation to walk down the stairs. The speed of the formation was even faster than an elevator, and it was practically within seconds. Yi Hua felt that this method was pretty good, and it seemed like he was going to have a chance. The first floor of the hall had a different style. The entire hall was circular in shape, and it was much bigger than the hall upstairs. There was a stage at the center, and a few women were currently performing flute skills. The sound was rather pleasant to the ears, and those who didn't know might have thought that this was a formal hall. Below the hall, there were tens of tables, and most of the tables were occupied by a man and a woman. However, at the periphery of the hall, there were those private room-style tables, which seemed to be a bit more hidden. Yi Hua raised his head and took a look. From the center of the hall, he could see the sky outside. This kind of building sure is interesting. What should I do if it rains? Wouldn't it crush someone to death? Let's go, what are you looking at? You men love this kind of place. Dong Huang Baiji urged from the side. Yi Hua hugged onto Dong Huang Baiji's slender waist. Baiji, it wasn't easy for us to come to such a brothel. If we don't admire it, how can we do it? Baiji, don't you think so? Amen. To experience the atmosphere of a foreign country, we can just treat it as coming here for a vacation. Yi Hua patted onto Dong Huang Baiji's butt, making him look like a man who was drinking wine. Dong Huang Baiji chuckled. I don't believe you. Dear customer, what are you doing? An old man who wore a red gown could be seen walking over and asking. Yi Hua said faintly, I brought my own lady. The old man took a look at Dong Huang Baiji. Dong Huang Baiji is a head taller than me and her temperament is so good. Lady, are you interested in working here? Yi Hua went into a daze for a moment. Dong Huang Baiji was immediately stupefied. Ah! Yi Hua let out a hearty laugh. Yesterday I was tortured by Baiji. Although this old man offended me, I can still spare your life. Dong Huang Baiji rolled her eyes. This bastard is actually laughing. Who asked you to laugh? I only sell my skills, not my body. Dong Huang Baiji said lightly. End of chapter. Chapter 12-17. Yi Hua's smile froze as he looked towards Dong Huang Baiji. What are you trying to do? No problem. As long as the lady knows how to play a musical instrument, it will be fine. Hearing that, the Abasang was very happy. This lady's appearance is really speechless. She is simply able to stun everyone. Baiji, you are trying to cause trouble again. Yi Hua hugged onto Dong Huang Baiji and said gravely. Dong Huang Baiji pouted her mouth. You were the one who laughed at me first. Am I laughing at you? Hurry up and admit your mistake. No, you were the one who bullied me first. You should admit your mistake first. Baiji. I realize that you are a bit arrogant these few days. Ba ba bon, Yi Hua said gravely. Fine, if you dare to go, I will call miss. I won't go, alright old master. Dong Huang Baiji gave in. To actually use such a method to threaten me, can you be reasonable? Patting the empresses, but Yi Hua looked at the Abasang and said faintly, you can leave now. Young master, this isn't good, right? How can you obstruct this lady's great future? The Abasang advised. In the future, this lady will definitely be a top performer. Yi Hua asked faintly, what great future? What kind of future can she have by singing here? Young master, you are gravely mistaken. Where is this? Dingzhou's Qingwu country. The biggest country, countless rich and powerful families live in Qingwu country. With how outstanding this lady is, she will definitely attract the attention of many feudal lords. Think about that scene, it will definitely be unprecedented. As he spoke, even the Abasang himself became excited. Yi Hua finally found out that this is one of the 9 provinces, Dingzhou, and it is also the biggest country. Could it be that there is such a building? This is really interesting. He is my husband. Dong Huang Baiji said faintly. Not playing anymore, time to reveal my identity. The Abasang was startled. This is the first time I saw a husband bringing his wife to a brothel. I am simply speechless. Perhaps the two of them had a heavy taste. The Abasang spat a few words and turned around to leave. Yi Hua said in a low voice, if you dare to cause trouble again, you are done for. If you are willing to hit me, then go ahead and hit me. Dong Huang Baiji said as she casually found a seat and sat down. Yi Hua laughed. Seems like I have doted on her too much recently, to the point where it has become a problem. Yi Hua walked to the side of Dong Huang Baiji and sat down. Yi Hua called out to Dong Huang Baiji and of course Yi Hua also drank some wine. I wonder what kind of place this Ding province is, and where is that Dong Huang clan? Yi Hua said faintly. Dong Huang Baiji was pouring wine by the side. Dong Huang Baiji was very obedient. When it was time to be mischievous, she would be mischievous, and when it was time to be sensible, she would be sensible. Should we find someone to ask? Dong Huang Baiji suggested. Then it would be meaningless. It's like buying a cheat code in a game. It's fun at first, but it becomes meaningless later on. Dong Huang Baiji shook her head. If that's the case, then that's not right. You're the only reasonable one. You have the most crooked reasoning. Dong Huang Baiji laughed lightly. Yi Hua laughed bitterly. They are talking about the things that happened back then again. Suddenly, the hall turned dark. Yi Hua felt that this was a type of spell and not true darkness. Interesting, using magic to replace technology. A ray of light shone onto the stage in the center, and a woman who was wearing a white veil could be seen sitting leisurely on the stage. The woman was hugging onto a pipa. Following the appearance of the woman, the men in the hall started shouting. Yi Hua sized up the woman. Although he couldn't see her face clearly, he could feel from that arrogant body that the woman had, that woman's face was definitely not ordinary. What, have you taken a fancy to someone else? Dong Huang Baiji said in jealousy. The number of women that Yi Hua sized up was quite few, and yet, right now, the woman was actually sizing up someone else right in front of me. Yi Hua said indifferently, I have indeed taken a fancy to someone else. Tisk, Dong Huang Baiji was speechless. He's teasing me again. Beautiful sounds started ringing out, and everyone in the hall seemed to be immersed in the music. Yihua couldn't help but sigh. This woman's craftsmanship is pretty good. The more Dong Huang Baiji looked at the woman, the worse she felt. This scoundrel couldn't have really taken a fancy to someone else, right? Your eyeballs are going to pop out. Dong Huang Baiji couldn't help but remind Yihua. Your wife is walking at the side, can't you give me some face? Yihua ignored her, causing Dong Huang Baiji to feel very jealous. After the song ended, the woman stood up and slightly bowed her body, expressing her gratitude. The men below seemed to have gone mad, and the screams were rather intense. There were even people above who were shouting. From the looks of it, this woman's background isn't ordinary. Wan Wan. Wan Wan. Wan Wan. The woman called Wan Wan nodded her head, but she didn't leave in a hurry. On the other hand, the woman called Wan Wan walked onto the stage. Sirs, today is our Wan Wan's wedding day. I wonder which lucky man will be able to obtain our Wan Wan's favor. No wonder there are so many people here today, so it turns out that they are all here to try their luck. Today's wedding day is a day to choose a man, and whoever is chosen will be chosen. This is simply like hitting the jackpot 5 million. The men below the stage all went mad. Wan Wan, my family is rich, I guarantee that you won't have to worry about food and drinks in the future. Wan Wan, follow me, my father is the head of the guards. Wan Wan, my father is a minister. All kinds of people instantly started competing with each other, and it seemed as if they were pimping for their father. However, this kind of thing, it was up to Wan Wan herself to decide. Right at this moment, Yihua asked curiously, Baiji, do you think that she will choose me? Even if she chooses you, I won't accept her. Why? Isn't this a free gift? Yihua teased. If you dare to accept her, I will. I will. Dong Huang Baiji bit onto her lips, looking like she was going to cry. Why aren't you coaxing her? What are you going to do? I won't talk to you anymore. Haha. Yihua laughed at Dong Huang Baiji. After holding back for so long, she actually said such a sentence. She is still the same as before, I don't even know what she is going to threaten me with. Yihua turned his head and looked towards Wan Wan, very curious about who she will choose. Wan Wan looked at her surroundings, appearing to be very shy. However, she still appeared to be very serious. The woman who was at the side said softly, Wan Wan, you mustn't choose those young masters, they will be very miserable in the future. And Wan Wan understands. Suddenly Wan Wan saw a man at the corner of the stage. The man had a head full of long hair, wore a black robe and looked very cold. There was a woman sitting beside the man, and the woman was very, very beautiful. Among so many people, only this man was able to enter her eyes. I have a candidate in mind. Wan Wan said softly. Everyone present cried out in surprise. She has a candidate in mind so quickly? Just who is it? Wan Wan lowered her head shyly, just like a little girl who had just met her lover for the first time. Everyone was very nervous, hoping that this good fortune would descend upon them, that way they would feel very comfortable. However, a white light flashed past. The white light shone onto Yihua's body. End of this chapter. Chapter 12-18. Dong Huang Baiji was stunned. How is this possible? This damnable appearance of Yihua, he really can't hide it even if he wants to, and he's giving me trouble everywhere. How could a beauty chase after him just by sitting here and drinking? Bastard, he must have done it on purpose. He just wanted to sit here and wait for a romantic encounter. Yihua revealed a light smile and raised his cup to indicate that he didn't have any intention of objecting. This caused Dong Huang Baiji to become even angrier. Yihua, this bastard. To actually propose a toast to me, he is simply a pervert. He didn't even reject a beauty throwing herself at him. What a bastard. Everyone's gaze looked towards Yihua, and they discovered that Yihua was a handsome guy. I can't take it anymore. Why is Wan Wan stroking him so lightly? What's so good about such a good-looking guy? This was a pretty boy. Looking at the woman next to him, it was obvious that she had already taken care of him. Abasang realized it was that man again. He didn't say anything and said with a smile, Sir, you're very lucky to have been chosen by our Wan Wan. You have to treat our Wan Wan well in the future. There was a hidden meaning in the old man's words, especially when he said to love her. He was speechless. It was very ambiguous. Yihua, just what are you trying to do? Dong Huang Baiji said gravely. Baiji, calm down. This Wan Wan is a local after all. We can interrogate her properly, right? Do you really think I'm so hungry that I can't be choosy? Yihua said faintly. We have been husband and wife for so many years, do you still not know my personality? If it's a woman, then I will go on you. In that case, my harem should already be in the 5 digits. I think you are. Is Daji beautiful or not? Didn't I not touch her at all? Seriously, you don't trust me at all. Yi Hua lectured. Can't you at least have some trust in me? Dong Huang Baiji pursed her lips and did not say anything. When it came to Daji, Yi Hua was still very well behaved and did not touch her. But who knew on that day Daji's bestial nature suddenly burst out, and she couldn't wait to be bullied by Yi Hua. Seeing that Wan Wan went down to change her clothes, Dong Huang Baiji said, "Let's go. Baiji, aren't you messing around? If we leave, the other girls will lose face." I don't have any face. This jealousy of yours is making me dizzy. Yi Hua smiled bitterly as he shook his head. This empress is really, are you leaving or not? If not, I'm leaving. Yi Hua had no choice but to hug Wan Wan. After that, he waited for Wan Wan. Dong Huang Baiji struggled with all her might, but Yi Hua couldn't care less. Let me go. Baiji, don't force me to spank you. You? Shameless. Did you just get to know me today? Yi Hua said with a smile. Seeing that the empress was angry, it felt rather good. Not long after, Wan Wan changed into a plain robe and walked over leisurely, making everyone present jealous. Was it fine as long as they were good-looking? Sure enough, this was a society that valued appearances. At this time, Wan Wan was still wearing a veil and walked over accompanied by Obasan. Yi Hua let go of Dong Huang Baiji. Dong Huang Baiji, who was standing at the side, was feeling very jealous. Dong Huang Baiji decided to ignore Yi Hua for the entire day. He had just arrived, yet he had already attracted a peach blossom. Young master, you're so lucky. Wan Wan is our top girl here, Obasan said ambiguously. Wan Wan lowered her head and didn't say anything. She was very shy. Dong Huang Baiji snorted. As long as this woman acts like this, men will definitely be distracted. Scumbag Yi. Yi Hua looked at Wan Wan, who was in front of him, and revealed out a smile. I'm just lucky. Dong Huang Baiji actually saw Yi Hua smiling, and she was so frightened that she nearly exploded from anger. This fellow always has a stern face, and yet he actually smiled at me. I, Dong Huang Baiji, cannot accept this. Then, young master, please take off Wan Wan's veil. Yi Hua laughed lightly, then lifted Wan Wan's veil with both of his hands. Dong Huang Baiji was having a hard time enduring. This is simply like lifting off a veil. To actually lift off someone else's veil in front of his wife. Yi Hua was a bit surprised. This Wan Wan's looks are indeed not bad. Although she can't be compared to the empress, she is still a rare beauty. Young master. Wan Wan said in a low voice, looking incomparably bashful. Yi Hua patted onto Wan Wan's head. Let's go. All right, young master. Everyone looked at Yi Hua and Wan Wan leave, and they still hadn't come back to their senses. That frivolous action just now, it's as if he's treating a slave. This hateful poser. He deserves to die a horrible death. After walking out of the brothel, Yi Hua saw a different city. This city was actually quite similar to Wuxia Empire, the only difference was the tall buildings. These tall buildings that were built using wood really had a different style to them. For example, the brothel behind Yi Hua could be considered as one of the best. The streets were still normal, and the population was also quite large. The housing prices here are definitely not cheap, right? Yi Hua held onto Dong Huang Baiji's hand. This jealous woman is very unhappy right now. Wan Wan, this is your real name? Yi Hua asked curiously. Wan Wan, who was walking beside Yi Hua, said in a low voice, Young master, this is my real name. Oh, what about me? I came from a small place, can you tell me about this Ding province? Of course, young master. Wan Wan paused for a moment, then continued, Young master, within the 9 provinces and 5 seas, Ding province is considered to be below average. Because the tectonic plate is like a huge cauldron, that's why it was named Ding province. And this Qingwu country is the biggest country in Ding province, and all of the sects in Qingwu country are under their jurisdiction. Yi Hua nodded his head. So this is how the sects are governed by the state. Which province is the most powerful? Young master, the most powerful is Weihai. Wan Wan said in a low voice. Yi Hua was very curious. Why is the sea the most powerful? Because there are some very powerful people living on top of Weihai, and their surname is Dong Huang. Yi Hua held onto Dong Huang Baiji's hand. Look, didn't I find them? That Dong Huang family is hiding on top of Weihai. Wan Wan, how did you know all these? Yi Hua asked curiously. Wan Wan's face was red as she said in a low voice, Young master, I only heard it from others, I don't know if it is true or not. Yi Hua nodded his head. Let's go and find an inn first, the weather here is really not good, it's a bit hot. In the blue sky there were 2 suns hanging on the sky. What are you trying to do? You even brought people to get a room. Dong Huang Baiji said angrily. What's the matter with that? Dong Huang Baiji really wanted to just toss this matter aside and go home. Furthermore, we are here for a vacation. Am I going to anger my wife to death before even starting? When Wan Wan, who was at the side, heard that they were going to get a room, she became very shy. Luckily, gold seems to be useful everywhere and I successfully got a luxurious suite. Money really can do anything you want. Money is really a good thing. Wan Wan, go and pour a cup of tea. Yi Hua shouted out. All right, young master. Wan Wan went out of the room to fetch water, and right at this moment, Dong Huang Baiji asked in a low voice, Yi Hua, just what are you trying to do? Nothing much, I just want to ask about the situation, you don't have to be so nervous, alright? End of this chapter. Chapter 12-19. How can I not be nervous? Who knows what you are going to do? Dong Huang Baiji said angrily. Looking at Wan Wan entering the house, Dong Huang Baiji remained calm. Wan Wan poured 2 cups of tea and placed it on the table, then walked to Yi Hua's back and asked shyly, Gongzi, do you need Wan Wan to give you a massage? Of course, let's see how good Wan Wan's cooking is. Don't worry, young master. Wan Wan's cooking is very good. Yi Hua smiled. While holding onto the teacup with his right hand, he didn't drink from it. Dong Huang Baiji was so angry that she didn't even have the mood to drink tea. Wan Wan, how old are you since you started working in that kind of place? Yi Hua asked curiously. Wan Wan was stunned and said with disappointment, Does young master dislike Wan Wan working in that kind of place? A little. Wan Wan, you still haven't answered my question just now. Yi Hua said lightly. Gongzi, when I was 8 years old I was sold to a brothel. Yi Hua let out a deep sigh. What a miserable story. Baiji, what do you think? Dong Huang Baiji snorted. Young master, this is not a story. That's right, if this is really a story, then it would be a bit too old-fashioned. Yi Hua took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up. Wan Wan, why did you choose me? Yi Hua asked again. Hearing that, Dong Huang Baiji went into a daze for a moment, then became vigilant. Young master, do you believe in fate? Of course I believe in fate. Then, it must definitely be fate that brought us together. Wan Wan smiled tenderly, and her slender fingers placed onto Yi Hua's body and lightly rubbed onto his body. This made Dong Huang Baiji very unhappy. Yi Hua smiled and said, Wan Wan, your relationship with that plump woman is very good, right? Yes, she's very nice to me. Wan Wan, after massaging for so long, you should be tired, come and drink some water. Yi Hua passed the teacup to Wan Wan. Wan Wan said respectfully, Young master, I'm not thirsty. Young master, please drink. How can that do? Be obedient, Wan Wan. Yi Hua said faintly. Young master, there's really no need, Wan Wan said in a low voice. Yi Hua could only place the teacup on the table and said helplessly, Wan Wan, you are in cahoots with that obeson, right? Young master? Wan Wan asked in confusion. Your trick is a little outdated. I brought a woman to a brothel, which is a taboo in a brothel. It's strange that the obeson didn't say anything. And you, of all people, you chose me. Although I am handsome, you are too arrogant. Do you see this woman? You actually chose me. Don't you feel ashamed? Or did that obeson tell you about it? Hearing that, Dong Huang Baiji went into a daze. What is going on? Yi Hua gave Dong Huang Baiji a look. Woman, it's just that your hair is long but your knowledge is short. You can't even see through such a trick. You just have to remember one thing, the heavens will not drop a pie, even if it is going to drop, it will not hit you, if it hits you then you will die. Young master, what are you talking about? Even I am confused. Wan Wan's face was filled with confusion. Yi Hua picked up the teacup. Drink it? Young master? I'll let you drink. Drink it. Yi Hua retracted his smile and said gravely. Wan Wan's expression gradually became grave, and she put down her hands from Yi Hua's shoulders. How did you discover me? Wan Wan asked coldly. Yi Hua blinked his eyes towards Dong Huang Baiji, then said with a smile, I was just speaking nonsense, I didn't expect that it would actually be true. Wan Wan, you tricked me. Wan Wan's palm turned into a dagger and pierced towards Yi Hua's head. However, when the dagger was just a centimeter away from Yi Hua's head, it stopped. Speak, who is the person behind this meticulous scheme of yours? Yi Hua asked gravely. Although it was just a guess, he was still curious as to who was the one behind this. I just arrived here and I was already discovered by someone, and there is even an ambush waiting for me. It's just that this person is a bit stupid to actually use a honey trap. Doesn't he know that the women around me are all extremely beautiful? Furthermore, I don't like women who don't have any personality at all. I am completely not interested in women who throw themselves into my arms. Yihua looked just like a skeleton. Wan revealed out a malicious gaze, but she didn't say anything. Yihua stood up, then turned his head around and looked at Wan, then lightly caressed her head. I think you should know Wei Chang, right? I don't know him. Women usually speak in reverse, you should know him. Wan, Donghuang Baiji was very speechless. Yihua is truly a scoundrel. However, this Wan is actually a spy, and furthermore she is already lying in ambush in the brothel, waiting for Yihua to fall into her trap. Yihua said faintly, Wei Chang is a smart person, he definitely wouldn't use such a method to deal with me. It must be someone else, right? To think that using such a method would be enough, you really don't understand me. Yihua was also speaking nonsense. Who asked this woman to be stupid to be able to use such a small method to deal with me? She is truly too naive. She is even more naive than me, who is an undead. Bullshit, Lord Ming is both brave and courageous, who does he think he is? Hearing that, Yihua went into a daze and even Donghuang Baiji went into a daze. Wei Chang is really here. Yihua laughed. Wan, don't be angry, let's have a good chat. This Lord Ming is your superior, right? Furthermore, you seem to like him a lot. At this moment, Wan's face really turned red. However, very quickly she said with a straight face, no. Lord Ming is so outstanding, I and the others can only look up to Lord Ming's back view. Alright, this is just a little fangirl, the kind that has already been brainwashed. However, she's a little silly. Alright, do you know Wei Chang? What ability does that man have to actually be fancied by the palace master, to actually be able to suppress Lord Ming? From what I see, the palace master's heart must be muddled. Yihua, this Wan is too awesome to actually dare to insult the palace master behind his back. This palace master is truly pitiful, his heart is muddled. Seems like Wei Chang's position is very high right now, this is a bit troublesome. In actuality, Wei Chang and I are opponents, the reason why I came here this time is to find him. And then kill him. Can you help me find him? As long as I kill Wei Chang, your Lord Ming will return back to his original identity. Yihua said gravely. Wan didn't say anything, and after a while she said, for Lord Ming, I am willing to do anything. Courageous, for Lord Ming to have a subordinate like you, he would be very honored. Of course. Wan said proudly. Donghuang Baiji was a bit stupefied. Yihua only said a few sentences and this Wan, my god, is she so gullible? This Wan must be a newbie, right? Wan, what is your sect called? Yihua asked curiously. Take a guess. Chapter 12:20. Yihua, Donghuang Baiji, damn this Wan. Is she really a normal person? Why did she have to be sent to carry out such a difficult mission? It is too dangerous. How would mere mortals like you know? Listen up. Indestructible Shrine. The most powerful existence in the entire 9 provinces and 5 seas, even if it is that big aristocrat, they are not our opponent. While speaking, Wan's face was filled with worship. Yihua shook his head. I originally thought that it would be difficult, but in the end, this indestructible shrine was sold out by a little girl. So, when your boss dies, I will tell him that this girl is not bad. It sounds very powerful. Yihua said in a low voice. Of course. Where is your indestructible shrine? I won't tell you. Wan went into a daze for a moment, then hurriedly changed her words. Yihua's expression stiffened. You also don't know. Who says that I don't know? Wait till I complete this mission, I will know. Yihua, my god, it turns out that this girl still doesn't know. Yihua asked curiously, then what is your mission this time? This is a very confidential mission, how can I tell you? Yihua laughed, since you have already said so much, it doesn't matter if you say more. Wan thought about it and agreed, I seem to have said a lot just now. My mission is actually very simple, it is to follow by your side and report to me at any time. Yihua nodded his head and removed the seal that was placed on Wan's body. You? Wan, how about we make a deal? Yihua smiled. Wan snorted, my immortal divine palace's people are not afraid of death, even if you put a knife on my neck. Even if you put a knife on my neck, I, Wan, will not cooperate with you. Clang. A sharp knife was placed on Wan's neck. Wan's gaze became deep. How do we cooperate? Yi Hua, Dong Huang Baiji, I have never seen such an unprofessional person, can't you at least resist a little? How about we cooperate, you continue to hide by my side and pretend that you don't know anything. Yi Hua said faintly. You want to kill Wei Chong? Yes, after killing Wei Chong, your Lord Ming is already relaxed, isn't it? Wan nodded and felt that there was nothing wrong with what he said. Sure. Wan said very earnestly. This caused both Yi Hua and Dong Huang Baiji to feel like laughing. Wan is truly a newbie. Right, your contact person should be that obeisant, right? Yi Hua asked faintly. Yes. Then shouldn't you report your safety now? Wan was confused. How do I tell them I'm safe? Yi Huadong and Huang Baiji were speechless. Just who taught you? In fact, Wan didn't have anyone to teach her. Lord Ming thought that the more ordinary someone was, the more real they were. In the end, she was tricked. How are you going to report the mission? Someone will contact me when the time comes. I see. Yi Hua nodded his head. Wan stood at the side gloomily, thinking that her mission had been discovered by the enemy. Looks like I didn't hide it well enough. Fortunately, I should be able to help Lord Ming this time and make up for my mistakes. Baiji, what are we going to do first? Yi Hua asked curiously. Up to you, you can go and do whatever you think is the easiest. Outside, Dong Huang Baiji still listened to Yi Hua. Yi Hua nodded his head. Then, let's make a trip to the Wei Sea first and deal with the Eastern Emperor family first. What? You guys are going to the Wei Sea? Deal with the Eastern Emperor family? Wan shouted out in surprise. This woman said that dealing with the Eastern Emperor family is the easiest, but this man actually said that he is going to deal with the Eastern Emperor family. Could it be that the Eastern Emperor family is the easiest in their hearts? They are definitely crazy. I'm not going to be crazy along with them. They are simply going to throw their lives away. What's wrong? Can't I? Yi Hua asked faintly. Of course not. The Eastern Emperor family is very powerful. If you guys go and deal with the Eastern Emperor family, you guys will definitely die. I won't be accompanying you guys. Wan wouldn't go to that kind of place even if she was beaten to death. That won't do, you have to lead the way for us. I won't go, I still have to serve Lord Ming. Wan said solemnly, giving off an attitude of, if you guys want to go and seek death, I won't accompany you guys. Yi Hua smiled. Think about it, if you help your Lord Ming get rid of the Eastern Emperor family, wouldn't Lord Ming value you a lot? At that time he might even favor you a lot. This man's words are a bit reasonable. If I were to get rid of the Eastern Emperor family, Lord Ming would definitely let me stay by Lord Ming's side and serve him. Alright then. Isn't this answer a bit too fast? Yi Hua and Dong Huang Baiji were very curious. Just what is this child's brain thinking? Alright, we are currently in Ding province, how are we going to get to the Wei Sea? Yi Hua asked curiously. In actuality, since we are already here, we only need to teleport to the Wei Sea. However, since I promised to go on a trip with Baiji, no matter what, I have to take a look around. That's right, I just remembered, in a few months' time, there will be a huge gathering at Tang Province's Tianshan Mountain. At that time, heroes from all over will be gathering there, and the scene will be rather lively. Alright, Wan still doesn't want to go and seek death, thus she can only drag it on. What you mean to say is that the Eastern Emperor family will be going there too. Of course, there is also the one who just became a god, deity Mengyao, who will be attending the gathering too. Speaking of deity Mengyao, Wan's face was filled with adoration. Yi Hua felt that this should be a huge gathering. Thus he asked curiously, Wan, is this gathering going to be a fight or something? Are there any prizes, for example, rare items? I'm not sure about that, but there should be. Then how big is the scale of this gathering? Will all the people from the 9 provinces and 5 seas be attending? Yi Hua asked curiously. Of course, this gathering will be called Tianshan Mountain Cauldron Seeking. Yi Hua understood. Right now, I know where the Eastern Emperor family is located. With Wan around, I will be able to dig out that indestructible shrine at any time. What is left is Qing Su. That fellow loves lively scenes, especially when there are good things to be found. If this is really a big event, that fellow Qing Su will definitely be there. From the looks of it, I have to settle Qing Su first. After all, if I miss this village, I won't be able to find this shop anymore. If I want to find Qing Su in the future, it would be very difficult. Alright, let us go to Tang Province then. Tianshan Mountain. Yi Hua decided. Dong Huang Baiji more or less understood what Yi Hua meant. He should be going to look for Qing Su. After all, Qing Su is also in the 9 provinces and 5 seas. Whether or not he will be able to come will depend on his luck. Wan let out a sigh of relief. Going to Tianshan Mountain is at least better than going to Eastern Emperor family. Chapter 12:21. However, what Yihua didn't expect was that Qing Su was actually here, and furthermore he was even currently in the brothel. However, Qing Su wasn't doing anything bad. Instead, he was talking to the obeson, who had a dumbfounded look on his face. Indestructible shrine. Just now, Qing Su felt that this ubasang was a bit strange, and so he decided to ponder about it for a bit. As expected, there is a problem with this ubasang. To actually be from Indestructible Shrine, what kind of person is he, to actually dare to take such an arrogant name? Qing Su's fat face was filled with disdain. Indestructible Shrine? Do you have any large-scale events here? Qing Su asked indifferently. Beside him was a dumbfounded Do Fusher. To Qing Su, floating battle was still too weak, and he was currently looking for things to make floating battle even stronger. However, the required materials could only be found here, and he had no idea where to start, so he could only ask around. If he wanted to find out more information, he would naturally have to look for large-scale events. There would be a lot of information there. Abasang said with a dumbfounded expression. Yes, there is. Tianshan Cauldron Contest will be held in Tangzhou. At that time, heroes from all walks of life will attend. When Qing Su heard this, he felt that it was interesting. Tianshan Cauldron Aspirations. This name sounded quite domineering. He just didn't know if it would have what he was looking for. Qing Su waved his hand, and Obasan walked out in a daze. He stood there for a long time before he came back to his senses. However, he didn't know what he was doing. With doubts, Obasan put on a professional smile and entertained the customers. The Qingshu Will smiled and said, "Little Daodu, let's go to Mount Heavenly Cauldron and gain some experience." Do Fusher nodded numbly. On the other side, Yihua was also preparing to head to Tang Province. However, this Tianshan Mountain tripod competition still needed to wait for more than a month. This caused Yihua to be a bit vexed. Where am I supposed to go during this 1 month? He could only accompany the Empress to have a good stroll. Of course, there was also a burden Wan by his side. This caused the Empress to be slightly unhappy. After all, it was a world of the two of them, and the sudden addition of a third wheel was still very displeasing. Moreover, this Wan was simply a chatterbox. If you didn't talk to her, she could talk on her own for an entire day. Donghuang Baiji couldn't hold it in any longer. Yihua felt that this Wan was rather interesting. To be able to converse with me for an entire day, she is simply invincible. Right now, Yihua and the others had already arrived at Tang Province. However, what Yihua didn't expect was that this Tang Province was actually smaller than Ding Province. The capital city was not as grand as the Ding Province. It felt similar to the Kangluo continent. However, the air in the Tang Province was very fresh, and it contained rich spiritual qi. People said that if you wanted to cultivate, you should go to the Tang Province. If you wanted to live a luxurious life, you should go to the Ding Province. The air here is truly too good. Donghuang Baiji shouted out happily. While running, Donghuang Baiji really did not care about her image at all. Yihua sighed helplessly. Fortunately, there isn't anyone in the surroundings. If there was someone who saw the Empress's little daughter acting like this, I would have no choice but to silence them. Wan said proudly, of course the Tang Province has produced the most exalted gods. Even exalted goddess Mengyao lives in the Tang Province. Speaking of Mengyao, Yihua and Donghuang Baiji immediately thought of Yi. He was also a well-known existence here. I really didn't expect this. Wan, why haven't we seen any towns after walking for so long? Yihua asked curiously. Young Master Yi, there aren't many towns in the Tang Province. There are only sects and so on. Because the Tang Province is a province that mainly focuses on cultivation, not many people are willing to waste their time there. Looking at the boundless grassland and the mountains on the horizon, Yihua's mood was pretty good. Humans, when it's appropriate, it's still better to come out for a vacation to relax and disperse the haze in one's heart. How far are we from the heavenly mountain? Yihua asked faintly. It's still quite a distance, I guess. In any case, we just have to walk towards those mountains. Wan only knew this much. Yihua nodded his head. I hope that I will be able to bump into Qing Su this time. That would be perfect. I have already formulated a complete set of rules for Qing Su, and I guarantee that I will let Qing Su know what it means to be a boss. Since I was able to deal with you in the past, I will be able to deal with you today as well. If not, how am I supposed to be your boss? And that way, Chang, I'm really looking forward to it. It has already been a very long time since I exercised my muscles and bones. I hope that the two of you can give me some strength and not disappoint me." Just as Yi Hua was daydreaming and beating up his subordinates, a black figure suddenly descended from the sky and directly smashed onto the ground not far away from him. If I had walked a bit faster just now, that black figure would have directly smashed onto my head. This black figure is definitely a high-level scamming technique. Look, there are people coming. Along with the corpse falling onto the ground, another two people descended onto the ground. The two people looked at the corpse, then looked at Yi Hua, then shouted out gravely, "You killed someone." Yi Hua didn't expect that the two people were really scamming. Speaking of which, scamming is the same no matter where it is. Hand over the treasures that you have on you and the woman beside you, and we brothers can spare your life. Yi Hua stretched out his right hand and snapped his fingers while the two people were puzzled. Afterward, Yi Hua continued walking forward as if nothing had happened. Wan was very puzzled. These two people look quite formidable, why are they standing there stupidly? Then Wan stretched out her hand and waved it in front of their eyes. There is no reaction at all. Wan hurriedly followed after Yi Hua. "Yi Hua, who are those two people?" Dong Huang Baiji finally returned and asked curiously. "They are scammers, I made them scammers forever." Yi Hua said faintly. "This kind of person, I should teach him a good lesson. No matter what you do, don't try to blackmail me. Even if you take out two mountain-splitting axes and stand in front of me and shout that you are robbing me, I will still have to admire your courage. But, scammers, I will look down on you." Dong Huang Baiji turned her head around and took a look, but did not say anything. Wan, does this kind of situation happen often?" Yi Hua asked faintly. "I'm not sure either, this is my first time coming to Tang City. This place sure isn't safe." Dong Huang Baiji mumbled. Hearing that, Yi Hua laughed. "Just who is the one that isn't safe here?" Dong Huang Baiji went into a daze for a moment, then soon after she laughed. The three people continued walking forward. A few hours later, a figure could be seen. The figure was big on the top and small on the bottom. If one were to observe carefully, one would find that there were actually two people carrying a person. These two people were naturally Qing Su and Dou Fusher. Looking at the three people in front of him, Qing Su was a bit puzzled. "Put me down." Dou Fusher respectfully squatted down, and Qing Su walked forward to inspect the person. Qing Su's brows slightly wrinkled as he mumbled, "This is an expert, this is definitely an expert." Dou Fusher did not say anything, he was just like a robot. On the other hand, Qing Su was very surprised. To be able to kill someone without using any techniques, I admire this. Dou Fusher remained silent. This person's strength is probably on par with mine. Qing Su was very arrogant and started bragging. Chapter 12:22. Right at this moment, 4 to 5 people descended from the sky and surrounded Qing Su and the others. Judging from their attire, they should be from the same group. "Audacious, you actually dared to kill our people, do you want to die?" The man in the lead shouted and pulled out the blades in his hands. Qing Su touched his head and said, "What do you guys want to do?" "What do we want to do? You killed our people and you still ask us what we want to do? Kill them." "Kill." Qing Su shook his head. "I actually took the blame. Little Dodo, I will leave this to you." Qing Su didn't want to pay attention to these people and directly walked forward. "Audacious. You actually dare to look down on us." A sharp sword could be seen piercing towards Qing Su's throat, but right at this moment, a big hand grabbed onto the sword's blade. The thumb lightly pressed down. A crisp sound rang out. The sharp sword broke, and Qing Su continued walking forward as if nothing had happened. Dou Fusher's gaze turned cold. He grabbed onto the broken sword's blade and directly stabbed it into the man's forehead, instantly killing a man. Qing Su put his hands together, appearing to be very sincere. A few screams sounded out behind him, and then everything became quiet. "We are still too slow, what should we think of?" Qing Su muttered. Dou Fusher returned to Qing Su's back and didn't say anything. In the misty land of Tang Province, Meng Yao stood beside the window and looked into the distance while opening the handkerchief in her hand. The lollipop had already become very small, and Meng Yao couldn't help but hold it in her mouth and let out a sigh of relief. Meng Yao. Meng Yao kept the lollipop in her mouth and slowly turned around. "Meng Li, what's the matter?" "Tianshan Cauldron Ascension is about to begin, you should be prepared." Meng Li discovered that Meng Yao was very strange recently. Meng Yao would often stand here and stare blankly. Meng Yao sighed, "I don't want to go anymore, you can go in my place." Mingyao, Tianshan Cauldron Ascension is a big matter of our Tang province, and as the only god of Tang province, you should go and show the prestige of our Tang province. Meng Li softly persuaded. Prestige? Everyone in the 9 provinces and 5 seas knows that I am the only female god. What prestige do I still need to show? Mingyao, it's all in the past. Are you still thinking about it? It's not good for your cultivation, Meng Li said directly, not afraid of offending her. Mingyao slowly closed her eyes. A person she didn't want to see appeared in front of her. The more she didn't want to see him, the clearer the figure became. It was like a nightmare. I know. Meng Yao said in a low voice. Meng Li advised, Meng Yao, if you go on like this, something bad will happen. You have to stabilize exalted deity's power now. Don't waste all your previous efforts. Don't make the same mistake again. Meng Yao nodded her head, expressing that she understood, but to really do it, it's so hard, really so hard. Right now, I am finally able to experience my master's situation. Love tribulations. It really is the most formidable tribulations, and only men who are heartless are able to get through it. Women, Meng Yao, the main reason why we're here is to congratulate you. You need to rest up. Alright, go get some rest, Meng Yao said in a low voice, then sat down on the straw mat. Meng Li left with a peace of mind. However, after Meng Li left, Meng Yao opened her eyes, took out a lollipop and put it in her mouth. He exhaled slightly. A month's time passed by very quickly. Yi Hua had already arrived at the foot of the legendary Heavenly Mountain. At the foot of the Heavenly Mountain, there was a surging river, and the entire mountain was just like a lone island that soared into the clouds. Yi Hua felt that bad review. They don't even have a place to stay, and they are still here at Heavenly Mountain? They are just a bunch of people who have nothing better to do. Whatever sect, whatever family, all of them are bragging to the heavens. I am not here to listen to you guys bragging, I am here to look for Qing Su. At the foot of the mountain, there were various sects and clans that were setting up their tents and visiting each other. However, Yi Hua was currently looking for Qing Su's figure. After looking around for a while, he still couldn't find Qing Su. This made Yi Hua feel that Qing Su wasn't coming? Did you see that fatty Qing Su? Yi Hua asked faintly. Donghuang Baiji was also helping to look for Qing Su, but she wasn't able to find him, and instead she found a bunch of trouble. Behind Donghuang Baiji were a few youngsters, and from a single look, one could tell that they were disciples from some big sect. Their expressions were very arrogant, as if their father was the supreme overlord, and they could do whatever they wanted. I didn't manage to find him. Donghuang Baiji said helplessly. Who asked me to be so beautiful? I have brought trouble for Yi Hua again. At this moment, Wan also returned, and similarly, there were a few youngsters following behind her. The corner of Yi Hua's mouth twitched slightly. I told you guys to look for Qing Su, but in the end you guys came back with a tail. Don't you know that I hate dealing with this kind of thing? And I already hate this kind of way of acting cool, it's not cool at all. Young lady, I am a disciple of Jiang family, nice to meet you. One of the youngsters said with a smile. Young lady, I am a disciple of Eastern Imperial family, can I walk with you? Young lady, I am. As expected, they were all from prestigious families. Even their target, the Donghuang clan, had come. Donghuang Baiji and Wan didn't say anything and directly stood behind Yi Hua. Yi Hua suddenly felt like calling his subordinates over. I really don't want to make a move on these small fries, they are simply wasting my stamina. What are you guys doing? Suddenly a voice rang out. Donghuang Qingru could be seen walking over slowly, and then she was stunned. Yi Hua and Donghuang Baiji were also stunned. This is too much of a coincidence, right? The world is so big and we actually met each other so quickly. Donghuang Qingru didn't know what to do. The floor manager told me to keep this a secret, and yet these two people actually came over. I'm finished, Lord Qingru, this woman. Shut up. Scram. Donghuang Qingru shouted out angrily. Everyone noticed Donghuang Qingru's strange behavior and felt very astonished. Could it be that this woman wants to monopolize this place? Donghuang Qingru, this isn't good, right? Do you want to monopolize this place? That's right, after chasing away the disciple, you want to monopolize this place? What a bad idea. Eastern Imperial family is only like this, that's all. Donghuang Qingru didn't know what to say. From what the floor manager said, this is the Eastern Imperial family's scandal, how can I possibly let others know about it? Yi Hua crooked his finger towards Donghuang Baiji. Such a frivolous action, if it was in the past, Donghuang Qingru would have flipped out long ago. However, I don't dare to do that now, this man is very scary. Dong Huang Qingru pretended to be very tsundere and walked in front of Yi Hua. Since we have already met, when this matter ends, let's go to your family together. Yi Hua said faintly. However, Wan, who was at the side, immediately said, I won't be going. Yi Hua expressed that it was impossible. Wan didn't understand. Do you think that the Eastern Imperial family is your backyard, that you can just go there whenever you want? Don't you know that it is very scary? Dong Huang Qingru was already a bit frightened. If I were to bring them over and if they were to investigate this matter, I would have to bear a huge responsibility. Chapter 12:23. If I don't bring him along, this man will definitely kill me. Since I'm going to die either way, I can only admit defeat. Who asked him to be so strong? I have no choice but to lower my head. Is there no boss coming? Yi Hua asked curiously and changed the topic. Dong Huang Qingru nodded her head. Yes, the main purpose of this Tianshan Mountain competition is to congratulate Goddess Meng Yao. Normally, family heads would only bring their regards. Just bring? Isn't this the same as looking down on that Goddess Meng Yao? Yi Hua said faintly. The boss actually doesn't go out and let his underling bring him along. If this isn't looking down on her, then what is it? Dong Huang Qingru didn't know how to explain it. This is just a matter of tradition. Would all the other gods have to come and congratulate a newly ascended god? Wouldn't that be very embarrassing? Furthermore, it's a woman. To be able to bring a gift is already a sign that they like her. At this moment, a colorful cloud flew over with a strong aura. Everyone couldn't help but look over, and their gazes were filled with respect. Could this be? The colorful cloud descended and a beautiful figure appeared. Everyone was stunned by the woman in front of them. They immediately cupped their hands and shouted, Greetings to Goddess Meng Yao. The person who came was naturally Meng Yao. To be honest, she didn't want to come, but she had to. However, when she saw Yi Hua, she felt a little weird. When she saw Dong Huang Baiji behind Yi Hua, she knew that it was her. It's the emperor, not him. Everyone, you have worked hard. The gate of Tianshan Mountain has already opened. You can all go up now. Meng Yao said gently. Actually, this Tianshan Mountain competition was a cultivation convention. Above Tianshan Mountain, there was dense spiritual energy. Gods wouldn't care about spiritual energy, but these disciples valued it. Training here for 7 days was equivalent to training outside for 700 days. To them, 700 years wasn't much, but it would be hard for them to get through it. Now that there was a chance, they naturally wouldn't let it go. Beauties were just fleeting clouds, it was more important to increase one's strength. Even Dong Huang Qingru fought hard to get this spot. I'll go up first. Dong Huang Qingru said softly. Yi Hua waved his hand. He didn't expect this Tianshan Mountain competition to be so boring. The only expert was Meng Yao. Even now, she was not sure if that bastard Qing Su would come. After everyone ascended the heavenly mountain, Yi Hua looked at Meng Yao and said faintly, To think that I would be able to meet her here. Yeah, what a coincidence, Meng Yao muttered. You mistook me as Xiao Tian just now, right? Yi Hua couldn't help but say. In actuality, it could be seen that Meng Yao was a bit disappointed just now. This little brother of his was actually able to make an exalted god worry about him. Not bad, he was quite capable. That's more like my younger brother, a man who can do great things. Wan was dumbfounded. She never expected them to know each other. How was that possible? How did they know each other? It seemed like they were very familiar with each other. No, Meng Yao said softly. Yi Hua let out a long sigh and his tone was filled with regret. Dong Huang Baiji immediately knew what Yi Hua was going to do. Meng Yao frowned slightly, not understanding what he meant. Meng Yao, I'm afraid that you won't be able to see little Tian anymore in the future. Yi Hua appeared to be incomparably regretful, making it seem as if Yi Juetian had already died. At least that was what Meng Yao thought, but she was too embarrassed to ask. Could it be that something happened to him? That shouldn't be possible, he has such a powerful big brother, no matter what, nothing should happen to him. Yi Hua didn't say anything else and stood with his hands behind his back. Although you are a god, you are still a woman. I am very experienced, I don't believe that you won't ask. Let's see who can hold back. Dong Huang Baiji poked Yi Hua. You are about the same. Other people indeed want to know, but they are too embarrassed to ask. Wan felt that it would be better for her to stay further away from Yi Hua, in case he killed her to silence her if she knew too much. After Wan left, Meng Yao really asked Yi Hua. What's wrong? Yi Hua was secretly delighted. Seems like this god Meng Yao is still worried about Xiao Tian, this is truly not easy. However, speaking of which, I was the one who tried to tear them apart in the past, so this time I will properly play the matchmaker. Whether or not they will be able to succeed, it all depends on whether or not they are fated to be together. 9 deaths and 1 lives. Yi Hua said faintly. As expected, after hearing Yi Hua say that 9 deaths and 1 lives, Meng Yao's brows tightly wrinkled, appearing to be very heavy. Her emotions were also very complicated. What do you mean? Meng Yao asked. Yi Hua shook his head. Meng Yao Xiaotian knows that he is guilty, so he went to a very dangerous place. I tried to stop him again and again, but it was to no avail. It was as if he was sending himself to death. Perhaps this is a kind of release. In the future you will be able to be at ease. After all, this is just a calamity, don't take it to heart. Yi Hua said gravely. Although it seemed like he was tearing apart Meng Yao, in actuality he was just playing the matchmaker. Donghuang Baiji felt very helpless. This moon elder has become a moon elder again. Meng Yao said gravely, indeed this is just a calamity, I won't take it to heart. What the f*ck, is this not a normal path? Shouldn't I be asking about it? Right, let me tell you a secret. Yi Hua couldn't help but say. He decided to scam his little brother. Donghuang Baiji was very curious. What is Yi Hua going to tell me? Meng Yao was very curious about this secret. Didn't I give you a jade slip last time? However, the corresponding one is not with me anymore, it is with little Tian. I told him that you will be in trouble, and he will go and train without saying a word. When the time comes, I hope that he will be able to help you. However, little Tian will pretend to be me and help you. Donghuang Baiji was incomparably shocked. This person actually sold out little Tian just like that? Is this really a good thing? Yi Hua continued, if you want to see him then just crush the jade slip. If you don't want to see him then forget about it. However, I will definitely do what I promised you. You can keep this jade slip, you can choose which one you want to crush. Yi Hua gave another jade slip to Meng Yao, it could be counted as a kind of apology. Meng Yao took the jade slip and said in a low voice, thank you. No need. Then I won't be accompanying you all anymore, I have to go and give a lecture. Meng Yao said in a low voice. After all, this Tianshan Mountain Ascension competition was still going on, and according to convention I, the god, have to go and impart some of my experiences. This is the Tianshan Mountain Ascension competition. Even Yi Hua was misled by Wan Wan. And here I thought that it was going to be some grand martial arts competition. To Yi Hua this was just a small show, but to others with a god's guidance, it would be much easier for them. After Meng Yao left, Yi Hua lit up a stick of cigarette. Chapter 12:24. Yi Hua, do you think that Meng Yao will look for little Tian? Donghuang Baiji asked curiously. Yi Hua shook his head, at the very least it won't happen in a short period of time. Perhaps, it won't happen in this lifetime. For something like fate, if it truly exists, it will definitely not be broken. You actually have such an epiphany? How fate? I still have my own views on the matters between a man and a woman. Yi Hua expressed that he was already an experienced person, and he was completely able to act arrogantly. Donghuang Baiji clicked her tongue. You really know how to boast. Alright, you don't have to smoke anymore. These few days you have been addicted to smoking. Donghuang Baiji snatched away the cigarette from Yi Hua's hand, then threw it away. Yi Hua smiled. Let's go, we should also go up and listen to the discussion and broaden our horizons. Since he had to wait for Donghuang Qingru, he decided to go up and listen. The mountain looked very tall, but there was still a teleportation formation at the bottom. It was really for lazy people. After passing through the teleportation formation, a huge compass appeared in front of them. The sky was black and dotted with stars. It was a very romantic scene. At the very least, Donghuang Baiji felt that it was very romantic. This kind of starry sky was truly rarely seen. Even Wan Wan was captivated. She fantasized about sitting here with Lord Ming and staying together forever. How wonderful would that be? Everyone was sitting cross-legged around the compass. Meng Yao was sitting in the center talking about the Great Tao. Yi Hua directly ignored it. This kind of thing is only useful to trick little kids. Can these people understand the Great Tao that you, a god, are talking about? That does not exist. Fortunately, now that everyone was gathered together, it would be easier to find them. After all, with Ching Su's size, if he was really here, he would definitely be able to see it. Yi Hua took a glance, and the corner of his mouth arced up as he walked towards the left side. Donghuang Baiji hurriedly followed after Donghuang Baiji. Wan Wan, who was at the side, had yet to come back to her senses and was currently engrossed in looking at the starry sky. Yihua did indeed see an enormous figure in that iconic moment. It was truly hard for me to find it. Qingsu, I didn't expect that I understood you so well. I reckon that you are also cursing me in your heart, right? He was even caught by the Supreme Overlord. How tragic. Yihua directly sat cross-legged beside Qingsu. Donghuang Baiji had never seen Qingsu before, but she had seen Dou Fushi before. Dou Fushi was also coiled up to the side. At this time, Qingsu's eyes were closed. He rotated the Buddhist beads in his hand and slowly said, "Benefactor, you're really persistent." Qingsu, stop pretending. Yihua said faintly. Qingsu opened his eyes, but they were still aslit. Benefactor, what exactly do you want? I want to hit you. Yihua said very straightforwardly. If this fellow doesn't hit me, I will feel very apologetic in my heart. He glanced at Dou Fushi, who had been turned into a fool by Qingsu. He didn't know if he could turn back. Qingsu heaved a sigh of relief. Benefactor, there are many people who want to kill me, but none of them have succeeded. That's right, no one is able to succeed, but I, the Supreme Overlord, am not a human. Yihua said gravely. These words stunned Qingsu. Are you a transvestite? Donghuang Baiji, who was at the back. Why do I feel that all of Yihua's subordinates are a little Chinibyu? Today, no matter what, I will beat you awake. If I can't wake you up, then I will keep beating you. I'll beat you until you wake up. Benefactor, I know that you are very powerful. However, I am not bad myself. If the two of us were to fight, I fear that these people would not be so lucky, Qingsu said coolly. He simply did not care about these people, treating them as though they were ants. So? Fighting is usually done by commoners and bastards. How about we play something a little more powerful? Qingsu suggested. Yihua didn't even think too much and said straightforwardly, Sure, how do you want to play? How about we each send one person to represent us in the battle? Yihua knew what Qingsu was thinking about. So, it's still the same old trick as before. The reason why Qingsu wanted to make the world of solitude stronger was because he was experimenting. He felt a sense of accomplishment towards the world of solitude. After all, he had created it himself. Therefore, using something that he had created to participate in the battle would give him face even if he won. He was also quite confident in his floating battle. Sure. Yihua naturally wouldn't back down. Since you, Qingsu, are able to make others stronger, I, the Supreme Overlord, am naturally able to make others stronger as well. Qingsu, your biggest weakness is that you underestimate my strength, and this kind of underestimation is fatal. Little Dodo, Qingsu calmly called. Dou Fushi opened his eyes, and his dark purple pupils deepened. Yes. Floating World's voice made the surrounding people very unhappy. You're sick. Don't you know how to be quiet? That's right, to be so arrogant in front of High God Mengyao. Which sect are you from? State your name. You are simply lacking in quality. How did this kind of person manage to sneak in? Qingsu scratched his eyebrows. Just when he was about to curse at Dou Fushi, he grabbed onto his own neck, let out a deep roar and rolled his eyes upwards. In just 2 breaths of time, his head tilted and he fell onto the ground. Even his primordial spirit didn't have the chance to jump out, he was instantly killed. One must know that all of the people present were all formidable existences, and any one of them would be an unparalleled existence in the gods' realm. But just now, all of them were instantly killed by Qingsu. Most probably they wouldn't even know how they died. Following the collapse of those people, everyone stood up and looked at the scene with a heavy gaze, not knowing what had happened. At this moment, Mengyao opened her eyes and looked at Yihua with her eyebrows tightly knitted. In the history of Heaven Mountain Ascension Tournament, there had never been a case where someone died. After all, this was just a lecture. Yihua didn't care about the life and death of those people. After all, Qingsu was more important. Don't make a ruckus. You all go and listen to your lecture. We will do our own thing. We will mind our own business. If you disturb me again, the consequences will be the same as them. Qingsu said coldly. He directly laid his cards on the table. You trash are annoying me. You all are just like flies buzzing around my ears. Mengyao looked at Yihua, seemingly asking, is this person your friend? Yihua gave a look that said, you don't have to care about this fellow. You can't care about this fellow either. I have to use my strength to deal with him. Donghuang Baiji didn't expect Qingsu to be so abnormal. Everyone shut up. Qingsu's aura is very strong. We can't act rashly now. Let's wait and see what happens first. After all, Goddess Mengyao hasn't even made a move yet. Since someone from Heaven Mountain Ascension Tournament died, You, as goddess Mengyao, should take care of this matter too, right? However, just as Mengyao wanted to take care of this matter, she was stopped by Yi Hua. Benefactor, you should send someone else, the woman behind you is not good enough. Qing Su added. Seems like he knew that Dong Huang Baiji's strength was definitely stronger than Dou Fusher's. Yi Hua said faintly, don't worry, I will send the weakest person to fight. I'm looking forward to it. What Qing Su said wasn't a lie. Right now, everyone was listening to the conversation between Yi Hua and Qing Su. They weren't listening to anything else. Chapter 12:25. Meng Yao was the same. Just what were they doing? Dong Huang Qingru was also very puzzled. Are they going to send the weakest one? Why did they fight? Yi Hua shouted, Dong Huang Qingru. Dong Huang, who was sitting cross-legged not far away, responded softly. Everyone looked at Dong Huang Qingru as if they were saying, so you are the weakest existence that he mentioned. Dong Huang Qingru was very puzzled. How did I become the weakest? In actuality, Yi Hua didn't know anyone else and only knew this one person. Dong Huang asked weakly, what's the matter? Stand up. Dong Huang Qingru felt very sullen. Do I have to stand up just because you asked me to? I Dong Huang Qingru am going to stand up. Bite me. Don't think that you can order people around just because you are strong. He is indeed quite weak. Have you thought it through? Qing Su chuckled. Although he was smiling, the fat on his face made it impossible to tell that he was smiling. Dong Huang Qingru felt very hurt. That's enough from the two of you. What do you mean by weak? Even I almost believe you. The people who were sitting around felt that Dong Huang Qingru was indeed weak. It seemed to be the case. Come over. Yi Hua shouted out once again. Dong Huang Qingru clenched her fist tightly. I will remember today's humiliation. One day I, Dong Huang Qingru, will be able to pat my chest and say, if you have the guts, you can humiliate me one more time. But today, you can humiliate me as you wish. I Dong Huang Qingru will not even blink. I swear. Dong Huang Qingru obediently walked to the side and looked at Dou Fusher. She felt that this person was very evil, especially his eyes. Could it be that his opponent was him? Alright, he was indeed a little weak. Should he change to someone stronger? At this moment, Yi Hua said faintly, we naturally have to be cautious in this competition. The reaction of a cultivator would naturally be extraordinary. Indeed, if a person's reaction speed is fast, he would naturally have an advantage. Qing Su nodded his head, agreeing with what Yi Hua said. Then, for the first round, how about we compete in reaction speed? Yi Hua said faintly. Sure, how do you want to compete? Yi Hua stretched out his hand, and two huge hammers could be seen appearing. The number 10 million was printed on it. Looking at the big black hammer and the string of zeros on it, it seems like it is very heavy. Qing Su was a little confused. Dong Huang Qingru picked up the hammer that was on the ground. Dong Huang Qingru had thought that the hammer would be very heavy, but I never expected that it would be so light. It was like a feather. Dou Fusher also gripped his hammer, his eyes filled with doubt. Qing Su curiously asked, what does that mean? Yi Hua briefly explained the rules. When Dong Huang Baiji, who was behind Yi Hua, heard this, she thought to herself, isn't this a little too formidable? You can even play like this. Wasn't it a little too careless? Dong Huang Baiji wasn't the only one who felt this way. Everyone else felt the same way as well. Meng Yao didn't understand just what was going on. Dong Huang Qingru had already understood the rules of the game. This was indeed a result of cultivation, and strength was also very important. This rule seems interesting. Let's begin then, Qing Su said softly, feeling that this was a new idea. Dou Fusher and Dong Huang Qingru sat cross-legged on the ground with a hammer on their right and an iron pot in the middle. The two of them stared at each other deeply. Of course, Dong Huang Qingru wouldn't allow herself to lose. Everyone here was from prestigious clans. If she lost, she would lose a lot of face. Therefore he could only win. Yi Hua shouted out, Dong Huang Qingru, use a bit more strength and hammer him to death. If Dou Fusher was still conscious, he would definitely feel wronged. Your Honor, you can't keep scamming me like this, right? However, the current floating world Dou did not have such thoughts. He rubbed his hands together, his muscles tensed up as he stared at Dong Huang Qingru. First of all, he couldn't lose when they stared at each other. Yi Hua shouted out, let's begin, whoever's hammer breaks first will lose. This is a battle of reaction and strength. Indeed, with their strength, it would be a piece of cake for them to smash this balloon hammer. However, he couldn't smash it, so he had to control his strength. In the eyes of Dou Fusher and Dong Huang Qingru, it was as if they wanted to hammer the other party to death. They tried their best to control their strength so that the hammer would not explode. No one was in the mood to listen to the lecture anymore. Even Meng Yao was looking at the two of them. The atmosphere at the scene was a little tense and oppressive. Even the palms of the people sitting next to them were sweating. Dou Fushi and Donghuang Qingru took a deep breath. It was as if they were going to fight. The two of them shouted in a stern voice. Sure to. Scissors. Sure to. Donghuang Qingru's two hands were revealed, and the change in Donghuang Qingru's expression could be clearly seen. From nervousness to surprise and then to distorted. That expression of hers seemed to be saying, "Brat, you are playing. I'm going to hammer you to death." Right now, a trace of a strange smile appeared on Yihua's face. Dou Fushi was very strong right now, and with Donghuang Qingru's current strength, it was impossible for her to win against Dou Fushi. Therefore, I have to add some extra strength to Donghuang Qingru's strength. This is not cheating, this is a symbol of strength. Donghuang Qingru didn't even know how fast she was. She picked up the hammer that was on her right hand and jumped up. Astral winds howled. That 10000000 hammer seemed to carry the aura of death as it smashed down towards Dou Fushi's forehead. Right now, Dou Fushi wanted to cover his forehead with a black wok. However, bang! Before Dou Fushi's hands could even touch his forehead, that black hammer smashed onto Dou Fushi's forehead, and an explosive sound could even be heard. Dou Fushi's forehead could be seen instantly becoming red and swollen. Donghuang Qingru felt that she was going to explode, and that distorted expression on her face was gradually replaced by a strange smile. Dou Fushi rubbed his forehead, his face tensed up. At this moment, Qing Su was frowning slightly. Although it was a frown, it was not visible at all. You're really amazing. You actually managed to raise this weakling to the same level as you in an instant. Qing Su said faintly. Yihua said in a low voice, Qing Su, don't forget that there are a lot of concepts that I taught you. Qing Su didn't say anything. His tiny eyes seemed to be filled with craftiness. The game continued. Dou Fushi, who had been struck by the hammer, had a serious expression on his face. Coupled with the red swelling on his forehead, he looked a little comical. Sure to. Scissors. Paper. Dou Fushi was dumbfounded, and his hands immediately reached out to grab the pot. However, this time, Donghuang Qingru's speed was even faster. Dou Fushi still hadn't gotten the wok. Boom. A cyclone suddenly erupted, and everyone couldn't help but raise their hands to stop it. Donghuang Qingru had a crazed look on her face. She had controlled her attack very well just now. Her hammer did not break, but it had inflicted heavy damage on him. Take a look, his head was crooked. Dou Fushi clenched his fists tightly, his eyes filled with savagery. If I win, this person will die. At this moment, Yihua laughed lightly. Qing Su, it seems like your plan isn't very good. Haha, the outcome of the battle has yet to be revealed. It isn't like whoever wins will win. Although Qing Su said that, he still felt that his face was being thrown away. End of this chapter. Chapter 12:26. This Dou Fushi, do you even know how to play rock paper scissors? Why are you so weak? You let others win twice and this time your head is crooked. You may be shameless but I am. Donghuang Baiji had never seen such a game before. If it was an ordinary person, that person might have already turned into minced meat. Yet, Dou Fushi's head was actually only tilted to one side. It seems like this subordinate of Yihua is truly very strong. Seeing Dou Fushi being hammered so ruthlessly, the surrounding people all sucked in a breath of cold air. This was simply too savage. If it was him, that blow just now would have knocked his head off. Meng Yao felt like this wasn't a game at all. She was practically trying to beat her opponent to death. Donghuang Qingru, who had won 2 rounds in a row, was very excited. This game is really good. When I return to my clan, I can let my disciples play this game. Especially at the moment when he won, he felt like hammering his opponent to death. Felt so good. Dou Fushi slowly raised his head and stared at Donghuang Qingru, the veins on his forehead bulging. However, the match continued. The two continued. Sure to. Scissors. Step. Everyone's mouth twitched. That purple-eyed man was too unlucky. Have you never won in rock paper scissors? He actually lost again. Right now, Donghuang Qingru could skillfully control the strength of the hammer. She didn't break the hammer just now, and she could continue to increase the strength. Dou Fushi stared at his scissors in disbelief. Why did this guy drop 3 rocks in a row? Was this person the devil? That's right, Dong Huang Qingro used 3 rocks while Do of the World used 3 scissors. This wasn't just a battle of reaction speed and strength, it was also a battle of intelligence. Qing Su's complexion darkened. This idiot, can't you change a little? You actually used scissors 3 times, are you Xiaoer? Yi Hua shook his head. Even if Do Fushi had become stronger because of Qing Su, his foolish personality is still the same. Dong Huang Baiji shook her head. This Do Fushi is truly an idiot, change? Dong Huang Qingru was very proud of herself. It was as if she had already won. She immediately picked up the hammer and smashed it down. This time Do Fushi did not take the blame. Boom. Dong Huang Qingru's attack was very heavy. Do Fushi's head was smashed into the ground. Everyone felt the pain just by looking at it. Meng Yao felt that Dong Huang Qingru's strength had increased by a lot. It shouldn't have been like this in the beginning. How did it suddenly increase by so much? Right at this moment, Yi Hua said to Dong Huang Baiji, who was behind him, "How about we go back home and have some fun as well?" "Sure." "It's settled then." With a strange smile on his face, Yi Hua said, "It's settled then." Dong Huang Baiji didn't expect that Yi Hua would be the kind of person who doesn't even recognize his own family when he starts beating you up. He completely doesn't see you as his wife. Do Fushi pulled his face out of the ground. There was an obvious face print on the ground, and there was even a little bit of blood. Because Do Fushi's nose was bleeding, it was a waste. His hairstyle was also messed up. His jet cut had been hammered into a pot cut. Looking at Dong Huang Qingru, she waved the hammer in her hand as if she was extremely confident. His expression was indeed asking for a beating. At this moment, Yi Hua said faintly, "Keep a low profile." "All right." Dong Huang Qingru shouted loudly. She slowly sat down and placed the hammer at the side. He didn't expect the feeling of beating someone up to be so satisfying. It was simply a sublimation of the soul. Why didn't he realize this before? Right now, Qing Su felt a bit uncomfortable and shouted out, "Win a round for me." Hearing that, Do Fushi's expression became grave. However, he still nodded his head. The competition continued. Stone, scissors, cloth, swish. 2 hands appeared. Everyone was astonished. They didn't expect that Do Fushi was actually a pair of scissors. However, Dong Huang Qingru became a piece of cloth. Dong Huang Qingru hurriedly picked up the black pot in front of her and placed it on her head with a complacent look on her face. "Is your speed faster than mine?" However, very quickly, everyone discovered that something was different. Do Fushi's speed wasn't very fast, but his entire body had become malevolent. His expression seemed to be both smiling and crying at the same time. When Dong Huang Qingru saw Do Fushi's expression, she was a bit stupefied. Right now, Do Fushi's aura gradually became stronger, and a gale formed around his body. Do Fushi could be seen holding onto the hammer, and with a sinister look on his face, he said, "You are dead for sure." Boom. Intense killing intent was being emitted out from Do Fushi's body, and Dong Huang Qingru felt as if she could see a bloody mouth appearing behind Do Fushi. That was a demon opening up the gates of hell. Ferocious killing intent engulfed the entire place. Do Fushi raised his hammer high up, and his deathly gaze seemed to be telling Dong Huang Qingru, "I am going to smash you into meat paste." The immense pressure caused Dong Huang Qingru to feel that this fellow has gone mad. He would rather smash his hammer into pieces than kill me. This is breaking the rules. Right now, Qing Su had a smile on his face. In actuality, the rules of the game are, whoever lives will die. The one who lives will always be the winner. Yi Hua's expression remained the same, and he appeared to be very calm. However, Dong Huang Baiji was different. Do Fushi actually broke the rules. Yesterday morning, everyone in the surroundings also had a look of astonishment on their faces. If Dong Huang Qingru was like this just now, the purple-eyed man would have been smashed into pieces countless times. He is still too young. Right now, Meng Yao didn't even know what to say. This is too childish, too careless. As Do Fushi raised his hammer, Dong Huang Qingru felt that she was done for. Boom, boom, boom. When the hammer landed, the entire heaven mountain seemed to be shaking, and cracks appeared on the enormous compass, seeming as if the compass was about to break apart. Meanwhile, Dong Huang Qingru's position had already become a deep pit. The hammer in Do Fushi's hand had already disappeared, and it was evident that it had been smashed into pieces. This is simply too terrifying. If Do Fushi's head were to be smashed into pieces, he would definitely turn into meat paste. Dong Huang Qingru floated in the air and held onto her chest. This scoundrel. He actually broke the rules just to kill me. At this moment, Yi Hua said faintly, "You lost." However, the rules were that whoever's hammer was the first to break would be the one to lose. In order to get rid of Donghuang Qingru, Dou Fusher didn't hesitate to use his hammer to exchange for Donghuang Qingru. However, it was a pity that Donghuang Qingru's speed seemed to be even faster than Dou Fusher's. With a smile on his face, Qing Su said, "No, no, no, your man ran away." "Then what should we do now?" "Let's count it as a draw." Yi Hua nodded his head and didn't explain too much. Dou Fusher walked back slowly. Donghuang Qingru was feeling great, and thus she sat at the side. Everyone became quiet again. What are these two perverts trying to do? Seems like we still have to step out. Qing Su said faintly. Yi Hua was never one to back down. Nodding his head, he said, "All right, it's our turn. However, let's not compete in strength. How about we compete in something else instead?" "Sure, I was the one who thought of the game just now, so you will be the one to compete in the next game." Yi Hua appeared to be very generous, and thus he let Qing Su come out with the game. Qing Su didn't act courteous and said faintly, "How about we compete in poison?" Yi Hua went into a slight daze. Poison is Qing Su's forte. The so-called compete in poison was to make a poison each and have the other party swallow. End of this chapter. Chapter 12:27. Then they would concoct the antidote. If anyone failed to concoct the antidote, they would die. This was also the most effective method of Qing Su. It was simply an inhumane game. Everyone still didn't understand what he meant by playing with poison. Could it be that he wanted to fight poison with poison? Meng Yao was also puzzled. How was she supposed to play with poison? Yi Hua and Qing Su stood up at the same time, then walked to the center of the square, and the two of them were separated by a distance of 30 meters. At this moment, Yi Hua said faintly, "Poison naturally has to be extracted from a poisonous object. However, if you want to extract poison from a non-poisonous object, it will naturally be difficult." Qing Su agreed with him. He said softly, "That's right. Even if it's not poisonous, it's still poisonous. How can the world distinguish between them?" The people sitting around were confused. What did he mean? They didn't understand. Yi Hua expressed that he didn't understand what Yi Hua said, but he had to pretend that he understood what Yi Hua said. "We'll use the same herbs to make the poison, and then use the same herbs to make the antidote. How about that?" Qing Su liked the suggestion very much. "Of course." Yi Hua nodded his head, then said to Meng Yao, "Prepare 10 types of the most common medicinal herbs for us, and all of them are non-poisonous." Meng Yao was looking forward to it. But before Meng Yao could do anything, someone went to pick the herbs. After all, there were herbs everywhere outside of Sky Mountain. Some were ordinary, some were precious. In the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, all 10 types of medicinal herbs were placed in front of Yi Hua and Qing Su. Yi Hua and Qing Su slightly frowned. After all, the clash between the medicinal herbs and the medicinal properties were very particular. Of course, Yi Hua had to be cautious. After all, the other party was Qing Su, an expert in using poison. If Qing Su were to faint after being poisoned by his subordinate, it would be a very shameful thing if this matter were to spread out. Right now, Qing Su was also very serious because he knew how formidable Yi Hua was. All of the 10 medicinal herbs that Yi Hua gave to Qing Su were non-toxic. How was he going to refine poison like this? The people who went out to serve the dishes were also very cunning. They were not ordinary people, and they also had some understanding of medicinal herbs. He knew that there were some medicinal herbs that could not be refined into poison, so he made 10 of them that could not be refined at all. "I'd like to see how you're going to turn non-poisonous into poisonous. If it really works, then you guys are really good." Yi Hua and Qing Su were both a bit solemn. They felt that this wasn't a question that was given to the other party, but rather, it was a question that was given to the two of us. No, to Yi Hua and Qing Su, this kind of thing was a challenge and they had never tried it before. Refining poison was a piece of cake for the two of them. First, he needed a cauldron. As a poison refiner, Qing Su naturally had his own cauldron. This was a different cauldron. With a bang, this strange cauldron fell beside Qing Su. This was a rectangular cauldron furnace. However, most cauldron furnaces were round. The shape was very rare. However, this one was meandering like a river. When Yi Hua saw the cauldron that Qing Su took out, he wasn't surprised at all. It was the same cauldron that Qing Su took out. Great Spring Cauldron. This was the cauldron that Qing Su had been using all along. Yi Hua didn't know where Qing Su got this cauldron from. In the past, Yi Hua wanted to ask Qing Su to change the cauldron, but Qing Su didn't want to change the cauldron, and said that he was used to using it. Yi Hua didn't force Qing Su to change the cauldron. In actuality, right now, Yi Hua felt that this furnace was just like a barbecue grill. By placing a bit of charcoal in the middle of the furnace, it would definitely be able to start a barbecue feast. The others were also a little confused about this barbecue rack. After all, it didn't look like a furnace at all. However, when Yi Hua took out the furnace, everyone was shocked. The moment this furnace was taken out, a delightful fragrance wafted out. Everyone who was sitting here had eaten quite a bit of medicine, and they were already used to the fragrance. However, when they smelled this fragrance, everyone revealed a comfortable expression, and even seemed to be intoxicated. It was as if they had returned to their mother's embrace. Meng Ya was also very shocked. This cauldron should be quite old. In the past, Yi Hua planned to give this cauldron to Qing Su, but Qing Su didn't want it, so he kept it. This cauldron was called Danxia. Its origin was unknown, and Yi Hua picked it up from the roadside. At that time, everyone was very shocked. Who would be able to throw such an amazing cauldron on the roadside? Isn't this person's ambition too big? However, the truth was that Yi Hua really picked it up from the roadside. Qing Su looked towards Danxia, and his gaze was a little strange. Why do I feel that this cauldron is very familiar, as if I have seen it somewhere before? Yi Hua noticed Qing Su's gaze. Of course you have seen it before. Even if I gave it to you, you wouldn't want it. With the appearance of the two cauldrons, it could be seen who was strong and who was weak. Yi Hua definitely had to appear strong, and he also had to look handsome and kind. Therefore, most of the people would support Yi Hua. That damned Baldy, he was so fierce just now. He really killed someone just because of a disagreement. I'm going to curse you to lose. I'm going to curse you to death. This cauldron is not bad, Qing Su said with a smile. Yi Hua smiled too. I will give it to you, do you want it? I can't afford it, I'm already used to using this cauldron. You should just keep your high-grade cauldron for yourself. After Qing Su finished speaking, he went into a daze. Yi Hua smiled but didn't say anything. Back then, Qing Su also said the same thing. I didn't expect that he still remembered it. Qing Su adjusted his state of mind. The two strange things that happened just now made me very puzzled. Just what is going on? Why did such a thing happen? Donghuang Baiji looked at the two of them. The relationship between the two of them back then and now, it has become like this. Donghuang Qingru looked at the two of them very puzzled. She suddenly realized that the two of them actually looked like good gay friends. That fatty was throwing a tantrum, so this handsome guy is coaxing the fatty. This should be how it should be. What a good gay friend for a lifetime. Right now, the two of them were officially immersed in concocting medicine. And that was looking at the medicinal ingredients. Even weeds have appeared. Are these people serious? If these medicinal ingredients can be used to concoct poison, then this is simply invincible. Yi Hua deeply wrinkled his brows. To be able to make Yi Hua frown so deeply, it seems like we have encountered a very difficult problem. Even the poison master Qing Su was tightly wrinkling his brows right now, not daring to relax at all. In the past, Yi Hua and Qing Su had only exchanged pointers on how to concoct poison. In theory, Yi Hua was slightly better than Qing Su, but in actual combat, Qing Su was far ahead of Yi Hua. After all, Yi Hua wasn't interested in stabbing people in the back, so he didn't want to concoct poison. But right now, how is it possible to concoct poison from these medicinal ingredients in front of me? Not only Yi Hua was thinking like this, even Qing Su was thinking like this. If I am able to concoct poison, I will go and eat shit. Those disciples who went to gather medicinal ingredients had strange smiles on their faces. If you guys are able to concoct poison, I will go and eat all of the shit at the foot of the mountain. Just when everyone was puzzled, Yi Hua moved. This move of his, even Qing Su was a bit stupefied. Did this man understand? With a calm look on his face, Yi Hua weighed the medicinal ingredients in his hand for a bit, then placed them into the cauldron. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Is this fellow serious? A drop of sweat appeared on Qing Su's forehead. In terms of concocting poison, I have never lost before. End of this chapter. Chapter 12:28. With the combination of these medicinal ingredients, one of them will definitely be able to concoct a poison. Just which one will it be? Qing Su slightly looked towards Yi Hua, seemingly wanting to see which medicinal ingredient Yi Hua would choose. However, Yi Hua just happened to raise his head and look over, causing Qing Su to hurriedly lower his head. Everyone saw Yi Hua's expression. Seems like this fatty is not going to make it. When Donghuang Baiji saw Yi Hua's smile, she knew that he was bluffing. I reckon that Yi Hua is just randomly placing the medicinal ingredients to disturb Qing Su's judgment. The more Qing Su's mind is in a mess, the more he won't be able to concentrate. Seems like my wife knows my man the best. Yi Hua was indeed trying to scare Qing Su. Although Yi Hua was just bluffing, Yi Hua still had his own way of thinking. After all, how could I possibly lose to Yi Hua? He was especially serious about every single battle. If you didn't believe me, you could go and ask the Empress if she was serious about every single battle. Qing Su's gaze swept across the medicinal ingredients, pinching and smelling them, and finally he started. Meanwhile, Yi Hua's side was already starting to heat up. When concocting medicine, what is important is the heat. When the heat is right, the medicine will naturally be good. Other than the heat, the flame is also an important factor. A ball of white flame could be seen emerging from Yi Hua's left hand, and a ball of black flame could be seen emerging from his right hand. The black and white flames were trembling like spirits. Everyone knew what this is. Even in the 9 provinces and 5 seas, deviant flames are rare. This man actually has 2 deviant flames. He is simply a nouveau riche. No wonder he is so strong. Qing Su looked at the deviant flame in Yi Hua's hand and slightly wrinkled his brows. As the deviant flame in Yi Hua's hand burned, the furnace actually showed a state of 1 black and 1 white. Such a situation caused everyone to exclaim in admiration. Can it be done like this? Meanwhile, Qing Su also started placing the medicinal ingredients. Everyone noticed that Qing Su's actions were very standard, while Yi Hua's actions were rather unpracticed. From this, it could be seen who is the master. Qing Su was also a man who had an deviant flame. In his hand was a ball of blue deviant flame. Following Qing Su's shout, the blue flame began burning the barbecue grill. At this moment, Yi Hua said faintly, "To be honest, if you bring some barbecue grill over, I think I will be able to get a few skewers." Dong Huang Baiji shook her head. This Yi Hua, he only wants to eat all day long. He is currently in the middle of a competition. Can't he be a bit more serious? If Yi Hua were to know of Dong Huang Baiji's thoughts, he would definitely teach her a lesson. You really have long hair, but your knowledge is short. I, the Supreme Overlord, was obviously tricking him. Do you really think that I, the Supreme Overlord, am that free? Right now, Qing Su was completely ignoring Yi Hua and was concentrating on concocting the medicine. Seeing that it was useless, Yi Hua kept his mouth shut. Meng Yao sat in the middle, her brows furrowed. She had all sorts of questions about her big brother, the Emperor. After quite a while, Yi Hua put away the fire. A black and white pill appeared. Everyone felt that based on its color, it was definitely a highly toxic item. Even Dong Huang Baiji felt that there was a problem with this pill. Of course, Qing Su had also seen it. His eyes gradually became solemn. Qing Su had also finished concocting the medicine. A black pill floated in the air. Everyone couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. Those were non-toxic medicinal ingredients, and the 2 of them had actually extracted poison from non-toxic medicinal ingredients. The most common poison was black in color. As it advanced, there would be some other colors in the middle of the black, but ultimately it was still black. Even these 2 pills appeared. He couldn't help but admire these 2 geniuses. It would truly be a waste of talent to not go and concoct fake medicine. Yi Hua and Qing Su could be seen waving their right hands, and the poison that they concocted flew into each other's hands. And then, without saying a word, they swallowed the poison together. This caused everyone to be stupefied. Dong Huang Baiji was stupefied. What is Yi Hua doing? Is he crazy? Meng Yao was dumbfounded. The 2 of them? Are they courting death? Didn't they say that they were going to compete in concocting poison? Isn't this a competition to see whose poison is higher? Why did the 2 of you swallow the poison without saying a word? What are the 2 of you doing? Everyone had a face full of astonishment towards the situation just now. I have never seen someone competing in concocting poison like this. Do you want to speak first, or should I? Yi Hua asked faintly. I will speak first. Qing Su said gravely. After swallowing the poison, he felt that his heart was heavy. Taking a deep breath, Qing Su said, "The poison that I concocted just now is a new type of poison. I call it OXX number 2. Yi Hua, I seem to have opened a website like this before. The knowledge that is contained within the website is very rich. It is just like an ocean of learning. I, the Supreme Overlord, have been learning for a month, and I only managed to comprehend half of the ultimate technique. Now that I am using it on my wife, I feel rather comfortable. If you want to learn techniques, come to OXX number 2. His purpose is to make you poop," Qing Su said gravely. In actuality, even after looking at it for a long time, I still don't think that I will be able to concoct a poison. The only poison that I can concoct is probably a laxative. Without a choice, I can only brace myself and concoct a laxative. Yi Hua's expression became grave as he said gravely, "This is a laxative?" Of course, furthermore, this is a strong laxative. There is no antidote in these medicinal herbs, so. Qing Su had a look of "you understand" on his face, as if he had already seen that Yi Hua was going to poop on his pants. Yi Hua's stomach let out a grumble and everyone heard it. "I feel that I am going to take a dump soon. If I don't take a dump soon, I am going to poop on my pants." Yi Hua didn't expect that Qing Su would be so ruthless. He knew that I, the Supreme Overlord, care about my face the most. If I were to poop in front of so many people, I would truly lose all of my face. Furthermore, I indeed feel that I am going to poop soon. This bastard. Now it's your turn to speak. Qing Su was very proud of himself. Go ahead and shit. If that's the case, I will be the winner of this competition. Yi Hua said gravely, since you are this vicious, then don't blame me for being heartless. This is not a laxative. This is Indian divine oil. Indian holy oil? Everyone was confused. Dong Huang Baiji naturally knew what Indian divine oil was. This shameless fellow actually dared to say it out loud, and furthermore, could it be that Yi Hua had been using it all this time? It's very likely that I shouldn't say it out loud. This kind of thing shouldn't affect the man too much. I'll pretend that I don't know anything in the future. However, this caused the entire team to know that His Honor was using Indian divine oil. Do you know what is called black and white? You don't know? Then I'll make it simpler. Do you understand yin and yang intercourse? This is the ability of my deviant fire. Along with Yi Hua's words, everyone was astonished. So he relied on the deviant flame to apply the poison. What a cunning man. It's actually an item that combines yin and yang, damn it. I wonder how the effect will be like. Everyone looked at the same spot where Qing Su was. But Qing Su's stomach was too big, and it was completely impossible for them to see anything. The faces of all the women present became slightly red. I'm simply speechless. Qing Su was astonished. You actually gave me an aphrodisiac. End of this chapter. Chapter 12:29. Same here, let's see who can endure it or who can lose face. Yi Hua was already holding it in. No, I still have to cheat. Qing Su is a man with professional ethics. He definitely wouldn't do such a thing. Yi Hua was naturally a man with principles. He naturally wouldn't cheat in such a situation. Do I look like a man who cheats? That doesn't exist. I will only use my strength to prove everything. Thus, I can hold it in. But what about you, Qing Su? Can you hold it in? This is the Indian divine oil that is made from two kinds of deviant flames. It is colorless and tasteless, the kind that you will want to eat even more after eating it. Right now, Qing Su was already sweating. After all, Qing Su only had the body of an ordinary person. How could he withstand the Indian divine oil? His face began to distort. At this moment, Qing Su turned his head and looked towards Do Fusher. At this moment, Do Fusher, who was already in a daze, trembled. Yi Hua sighed in his heart. Do Fusher, you are really unlucky no matter where you go, sigh. Right now, Yi Hua was also feeling a bit uncomfortable. This laxative is really quite powerful, especially with the addition of deviant flames. I feel like I'm going to jump out. Qing Su wasn't much better off. Just like Yi Hua, his face was already red. Both of them knew that there was no antidote. They could either release the laxative or die from holding it in. Looking at the two's red faces, everyone exclaimed in admiration in their hearts. They can even hold it in. You two are truly the strongest kings, I'm convinced. Expert, how about we stop here? Qing Su said in a low voice. He was already at the edge. Yi Hua had a calm look on his face, but he knew in his heart that he was already at the edge and was about to burst out. Even if I am going to die, I have to smile. Qing Su, how can we stop here? The victor hasn't even been decided yet. Yi Hua said with a smile, appearing to be very relaxed. Just that slightly red face of his seemed to have already been betrayed. Qing Su's face became distorted. Expert, how about we play something else? I know that you can't hold it in anymore. When the time comes, we will lose face together. F***K, I have already hidden it so deeply, but I was still discovered. Alright, then this sentence counts as a draw. Sure. Qing Su finally let out a breath. After finished speaking, Yi Hua disappeared. He must have definitely gone to squat in the toilet. Needless to say, when I squat in the toilet to relieve myself, That kind of pleasure is simply incomparable. Qing Su quickly took out the antidote and swallowed it. Only then did he feel much better. From this matter, it could be seen that Yi Hua and Qing Su were both upright and above-board people, so how could it be possible for them to cheat? Soon, the two of them returned to the scene with a relaxed expression. One was having a good time defecating while the other was having a good time taking pills. Then now what do you still want to compete in? Yi Hua asked faintly. Qing Su had a dignified look on his face. This man was more powerful than he had imagined. His poison should have some effect on him. What do you want to play? Yi Hua said faintly, how about we have a dream? Dream realm? Qing Su was a little confused. Yes, a dreamlike game of hide-and-seek. On the other hand, Qing Su felt that this was interesting. Without any fear, Qing Su directly agreed to Qing Su's suggestion. Yi Hua was about to give Qing Su a thumbs up. You don't even need to use your brain. If I, the Supreme Overlord, wanted to plot against you, I would have succeeded very quickly. At this moment, everyone was very curious and wanted to hear what the rules were. Yi Hua smiled and did not say anything. Are you ready? Yi Hua asked lightly. Come. Qing Su said faintly and slowly closed his eyes. Yi Hua nodded his head and slowly closed his eyes. Qing Su felt that he had entered into an illusion, and he suddenly opened his eyes. The scene that appeared in front of him caused Qing Su to go into a daze. Qing Su slowly stretched out his hand. His fingers were very slender and had the appearance of a woman. Qing Su touched his own face. I'm not fat at all, what's going on? Looking at the surroundings, there was a total of 7 people standing there. Among them, there was a skeleton that was standing at the center position, and the skeleton seemed very cold and arrogant. Who designed this position? I, Qing Su, am not convinced. But why do these people look so familiar? As if I have known them before. Not far away there was also a total of 100+ people standing there, and they looked very aggressive. However, on my side there is only a total of 8 people. It is obvious that I am a little lacking. But what the hell is there to be afraid of? I only have one word, and that is fight. Qing Su felt that his body was not under his control, and when he really rushed out, the first thing he felt was, isn't this too sloppy? Aren't they going to discuss the plan first? Fighting brainlessly will cause people to die. But right now he had already rushed out, and when Qing Su saw that there was a twin-tailed girl that was hit by the skeleton, not knowing why, Qing Su felt very angry in his heart. I just want to kill all of these people in front of me. Qing Su discovered that not only was he very angry, everyone else was also very angry. That skeleton that was carrying that little girl seemed to be very sad, and this kind of sadness seemed to be transmitted to everyone. Qing Su felt that he had been infected by the skeleton, and he just wanted to fight to the death with these trash and kill them all. Qing Su saw that the number of people around him was getting lesser and lesser, and seeing them fall down just like that, Qing Su felt very uncomfortable in his heart. In the end, Qing Su saw a skeleton standing in front of him, and there were 60+ overlords standing in front of him. Qing Su heard the skeleton saying faintly, "See you in the next life." After finished speaking, the skeleton rushed out. Looking at the corpses around him, Qing Su was confused. What is going on? Why do I feel so sad in my heart? Back then, why did Qing Su kill so many people? It was because everyone realized that they had fallen into a trap, and thus they chose to fight to protect Qing Su. Qing Su was the only attacker, but after Yi Hua fell down, Qing Su, who had no one to protect him, died. Therefore, this was also the reason why Qing Su wanted to create a powerful servant. Subconsciously, Qing Su did so to protect himself. Qing Su watched as his body fell down, but he was powerless to do anything. He could even see those overlords cheering and celebrating their victory. In the end, the overlords placed the corpses together and burned them with deviant fire. They were burned just like that. Qing Su suddenly heard a voice ring out, and a skeleton walked over from the side. Isn't this that skeleton from just now? Why is he here? Did he die from waiting for so long? Right now, Qing Su didn't even know if he was in reality or if he was in a dream. I am with you, Yi Hua said faintly, then transformed back into his human form. Qing Su looked at Yi Hua blankly. You? Just who are you? Don't you have any idea who I am? These are all the memories in your mind and you should be very clear about them. Yi Hua said gravely. Impossible. How can there be such things in my mind? It is definitely you. Qing Su, did you see that? Back then, everyone died in battle and I have to bear a lot of responsibility. Yi Hua let out a long sigh. Although it is a pity, the heavens have opened their eyes and didn't let everyone leave. Qing Su didn't say anything and looked at those overlords. Those faces seemed very familiar to me. End of this chapter. Chapter 12:30. Qing Su, you are the most special existence in the team, so don't disappoint everyone. Yi Hua stretched out his hand and patted on Qing Su's shoulder. Qing Su still found it a bit hard to believe all of this. He looked at the man in front of him. Is what he said true or false? Follow me and give it a try. When the time comes, we will know if what I said is true or false. Yi Hua said indifferently. He knew that it wouldn't be easy to deal with Qing Su, so he had to use another method. Qing Su looked at the scene. This familiar feeling won't lie. Seeing that Qing Su had tacitly agreed, Yi Hua finally let out a sigh of relief. Of course, he didn't expect that he would be able to deal with Qing Su just by having him recall what happened back then. After exiting the dreamland, Yi Hua and Qing Su opened their eyes. Everyone was curious. Who would win between the two? Qing Su didn't say anything and sat in the crowd. Yi Hua did the same and sat in the crowd. Everyone was a little confused. What was going on? Why didn't they say something? Who won and who lost in the end? To actually not announce it, this is too suspenseful. Even Dong Huang Baiji couldn't help but ask softly, Yi Hua, just who won? Other than myself, do you think there is any other possibility? Yi Hua said softly. This Qing Su is a bit hard to deal with. Right now, I only need to dig out those precious fragments. Next up, I need even stronger evidence. If not, when this Qing Su goes crazy, I will have no choice but to deal with him. Yi Hua, what do you plan to do now? Dong Huang Baiji asked curiously. Yi Hua said softly, one step at a time. After this is over, I will go over to the Eastern Emperor clan and take a look at the situation. You're really going over? Dong Huang Baiji cried out in surprise. What, do you think that I am joking? I, the Supreme Overlord, have never joked around. Yi Hua said gravely. The words that I, the Supreme Overlord, have always been serious. Dong Huang Baiji said softly, Yi Hua, I understand your intention, but I really don't want to cause unnecessary trouble. I also don't want to look into what happened in the past. In actuality, Dong Huang Baiji was still worried that Yi Hua would cause the crowd to attack him again. I allow you to take back what you just said, then reorganize your words and say it one more time. Yi Hua said gravely. Yi Hua sure has a way of lecturing people. The surrounding students were all frightened to the point that they were trembling. I really don't know what to do. Dong Huang Baiji said helplessly. Yi Hua laughed lightly. If you have a way, this seat of mine will be yours. Who cares about your seat? I'm just worried that something will happen to you. Baiji, you think too highly of those people. It's just a matter of waving their hands. After that, I want your father to get justice. Or other elders. After hearing what Yi Hua said, Dong Huang Baiji felt very moved. Although I don't know the truth of the matter, it is truly great that Yi Hua has such thoughts. When the time comes, I'll have to think of a way to act cool. Yi Hua, you muttered. Originally, Dong Huang Baiji was still very touched by Yi Hua's words, but she was immediately pulled back to reality. Dong Huang Qingru, come here, I want to ask you a few questions. Great God, please ask. Dong Huang Qingru shouted out respectfully. However, I, Dong Huang Qingru, swear that if I admit defeat now, it will be a sacrifice for the future. A person can only grow while being ridiculed. If no one forces you, you wouldn't even know how strong your own ability is. Yi Hua asked lightly, is there any scandal in your Eastern Emperor family? How is that possible? Our Eastern Emperor family is the benchmark. Dong Huang Qingru said with a righteous look on her face. Dong Huang Qingru didn't dare to say it. There are so many people here, if she were to expose it, where would the face of the Eastern Emperor family be? Yi Hua asked faintly, Dong Huang Qingru, right now is a good opportunity for you to atone for your crimes, don't test my patience. About that, great God, it's not that I don't want to say it, I only found out about it recently. Dong Huang Qingru was also afraid. This man would beat someone up just because of a single sentence, and furthermore he would beat someone to death. What is it? Actually, I don't know the exact details. The floor leader asked me to keep it a secret. He said that it's a big secret of the Eastern Royal Clan. Dong Huang Qingru said sneakily. Looking at her, one could tell that she was talking about a secret. Right now, even Dong Huang Baiji was curious as to what exactly had happened. Then let's go now. Yi Hua was already impatient to go and stir up some trouble. The main thing was that with Qing Su by his side, Qing Su might be able to evoke some of his bad memories. Dong Huang said softly, Great God, I can't do that. I have to wait until Mount Tianshan reaches the ascendant stage before I go back. Yi Hua went silent for a moment, then felt that it was fine. Then let's play for another 7 days. This time I, the Supreme Overlord, will be able to think about how to take revenge for the Empress. That scene must have been extremely comfortable. Sure, then I will wait for another 7 days. Yi Hua said faintly. The person sitting next to him was puzzled. What did he mean by waiting for 7 days? What was this man trying to do? Don't tell me you're itching all over if you don't do anything for a day? Donghuang Qingru was very scared now. If she brought the great god back to her family, she would definitely be beaten up. But if he didn't bring her along, he would be beaten up right now. Moreover, this woman was of pure bloodline. However, the level leader had said that no information could be leaked. If not, the East royal family would become a laughing stock. Meng Yao didn't know what to say. She didn't have the mood to continue. Qing Su was also very hesitant. The scene played in his mind over and over again. Furthermore, it felt more and more familiar. His figure was about to overlap with that person's. Was he really one of them? This skeleton didn't lie to me? Qing Su didn't dare to come to a conclusion, so he decided to observe the situation first. 7 days passed by very quickly. Yi Hua brought along Donghuang Baiji and walked around Heavenly Mountain. It was one thing for Yi Hua to listen to the lectures, but after listening to the lectures, Yi Hua felt like sleeping. Looking at these people leaving one after another, Yi Hua's mood was pretty good. But Wanwan didn't feel very good. Mr. Yi, why don't you not go? Great God, this lady is right. Why don't we go another day? Donghuang Qingru said hurriedly. If he really went, it would be the rhythm of the world changing. Yi Hua's gaze turned cold, and the latter instantly became speechless. At this moment, Meng Yao leisurely walked over and asked in a low voice, "Are we really going to the East royal family?" Yi Hua looked at Meng Yao and revealed out a kind smile. Yes. Do you need help? Meng Yao said lightly. This caused Yi Hua to go into a daze. However, he felt that this was a good thing. This meant that there was still hope for Yi Juetian and that he didn't die. When Donghuang Qingru heard what Yi Hua said, she was very stupefied. You are God Meng Yao, how can you just do whatever you want to do? Don't you have any sense of propriety at all? How can this do? This is too careless. End of this chapter. Chapter 1231. There's no need for that, I will be able to settle this matter myself. With a "you understand" smile on his face, Yi Hua stretched out his hand and patted on Meng Yao's shoulder. Towards Yi Hua's smile, Meng Yao naturally understood. It was naturally Yi Juetian. Meng Yao didn't know what to say. She could only softly say, "Then be careful. The Donghuang clan is not to be trifled with." Donghuang Qingru wanted to add that exalted goddess Meng Yao was right. Don't go and cause trouble. It wasn't just Donghuang Qingru, even Wanwan wanted to say that they really shouldn't go there. After all, there was a slim chance of survival. Meng Yao, do you think I'm a pushover? You should know me very well. Yi Hua retracted his smile and said faintly. Meng Yao chuckled, then I'll be going back. Yi Hua nodded his head and Meng Yao disappeared from the spot. However, Donghuang Qingru and Wanwan were very confused. Why did goddess Meng Yao seem to be so obedient? Just who was this man? The disciples of the Donghuang clan were all puzzled. All the disciples present knew that this man was going to cause trouble in their territory. According to the normal procedure, he should have tried his best to stop them, even to the extent of fighting to the death. Only then would he be able to display the demeanor of a great family. But, however, right now I don't have that thought at all. I feel that they were on the same side. There was no need to fight at all. That's right, they were all on the same side. According to the head guard of the vestibule, that woman had an authentic bloodline. This was a huge matter that would shake the entire 9 prefectures and 5 seas. What are you waiting for? Let's go. It has been a very long time since I last did something, and today I can finally do something. Thus, Yi Hua brought along his wife and subordinates and set off. Even though Qing Su still admitted to it, Lin Fan could feel that he was slowly changing, as though he had realized the truth. As for Battle Fuchsia, it's best that I don't turn back to normal right now. No, wait, this is the normal Battle Fuchsia, the previous one is the fake Battle Fuchsia. Donghuang Qingru was helpless. She opened the teleportation gate that led directly to the Eastern Emperor clan above the Azure Ocean. Right now, Donghuang Baiji was a bit nervous. I don't know how I should face this. If everything that I said is real. In that case, his hometown should be on the other side of the portal. Dong Huang Baiji became rash. Yi Hua seemed to be able to sense Dong Huang Baiji's unusual movements, and he stretched out his hand and held onto Dong Huang Baiji's hand, giving her encouragement. With me by your side, even if the Heavenly King is here, he won't be able to touch a single hair on your head. The group of people stepped into the teleportation formation, and Yi Hua could only feel his vision turning dark. A beautiful scene appeared in front of Dong Huang Baiji. This place is truly beautiful. Even Qing Su was attracted by the scene in front of him. Everyone appeared on the first level, and the Eastern Emperor clan was on top of the rainbow clouds, ascending in a stair-like manner. Therefore, from this angle, it just so happened that one could see the Eastern Emperor clan level by level, and it was as gorgeous as a rainbow. Dong Huang Baiji felt that it was very romantic. If it was at night, it would definitely make people intoxicated. Indeed, in the Dong Huang clan, the night was the most enchanting. We await the head guard of the vestibule. The disciple who was guarding at the side shouted out respectfully. Although he noticed Yi Hua and the others because Dong Huang Qingru was the one who brought them in, he didn't say anything. Dong Huang Qingru didn't know what to say. Didn't you want to create trouble? Hurry up and create trouble, I have already made up my mind. Even the disciple who was guarding at the side was thinking the same. It doesn't matter if I die sooner or later, I might as well watch how you guys create trouble in the Eastern Emperor clan. However, after waiting for a long time, Dong Huang Qingru still didn't see Yi Hua kill them. Yi Hua was also very confused. Doesn't it hurt when I'm kneeling? Why are you looking at me? Is there something wrong with you? Dong Huang Qingru seemed to be able to understand Yi Hua's gaze and said in a low voice, "This person is here to create trouble. Call your boss out." Yi Hua and Dong Huang Baiji were both stupefied. What is this Dong Huang Qingru trying to do? Why does she make it seem as if we are on the same side? You are someone from that side. Qing Su and Do Fusher stood at the back. The two of them were like autistic children, not saying anything and not caring about anything. Head guard of the vestibule, what do you mean by this? The disciple who was kneeling on the ground asked confusedly. Yi Hua said faintly, do you still not understand? Your head guard of the vestibule has already turned traitor. Dong Huang Qingru, creating something out of nothing. This is creating something out of nothing. My Dong Huang Qingru's heart can be seen by the sun and moon. I am also loyal and devoted to the Dong Huang family. How could I possibly turn traitor? No, it should be said that I, Dong Huang Qingru, only support the original. Mere pirated goods, go and die. I feel that Dong Huang Baiji is the original. If she isn't the original, then she must be a pirated one. I, Dong Huang Qingru, can only blame myself for making an error of judgment. Swish, swish, swish. All of the disciples in the surroundings drew out their swords. However, the disciples beside Yi Hua drew out their swords on reflex. A real hammer. Dong Huang Qingru felt a bit dizzy and she really wanted to fall down. Head guard of the vestibule. You actually brought along your disciples to rebel. And you even dared to come back. What guts you have. Yi Hua said faintly, this person's guts are indeed big, you have to call your boss over, if not, you will be killed. Dong Huang Qingru's heart was in pain. Why did I have to meet this man? Ever since I met this man, I have never had a good life. I have been humiliated by him every single day. Although it wasn't physically, it was still mentally. The disciples in the surroundings felt that what Yi Hua said was right, and two of them hurriedly went to look for the floor leader. After all, if the head guard betrayed them, they still have to call for the floor leader. This is the rule. Yi Hua took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up. I feel that this is too fast, there isn't any foreshadowing at all, it will give people a kind of unpleasant feeling. This is a little troublesome. Not long later, Dong Huang Fei, who was the floor leader, arrived. Yi Hua looked at Dong Huang Fei, and Dong Huang Fei directly looked at Yi Hua with a grave gaze. This man is very dangerous. Dong Huang Qingru. What are you doing? Dong Huang Fei shouted out gravely. Dong Huang Qingru knew that she had no chance and said respectfully, floor leader, this person is looking for you. After finished speaking, she even blinked her eyes. Dong Huang Fei shouted out, Dong Huang Qingru. Why are you blinking your eyes at me? Dong Huang Qingru. Yi Hua didn't pay attention to Dong Huang Fei and asked faintly, Dong Huang Fei, right? Who are you? Dong Huang Fei asked in a low voice. For the time being, he didn't explode, but he seemed to be very vigilant. Yi Hua pushed onto Dong Huang Baiji. Wife, it is your turn to act. Dong Huang Baiji took a deep breath, then said gravely, my name is Dong Huang Baiji. Dong Huang Fei finally knew. Why did Dong Huang Qingru blink her eyes just now? Could it be that this woman is the one? Something bad has happened. Something big is going to happen. This damn Donghuang Qingru, why did you bring them here? We are going to die together. End of this chapter. That you're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.